Du- 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 du-
I think we need to get you a better opening, Boomer.
That's going to stay on here. Welcome, everybody, to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah. For some reason, despite all the horrible stuff in the world and even some of our entertainment news we discuss tonight, I'm in a better mood this week than usual.
Good.
I feel deep down that we'll eventually turn this corner. We
Well,
may
we
end
have
up with
to,
other
because
horrible things, but
the alternative is incredibly bleak, so we have to.
yes. So here we are. Welcome, everybody. Let me say hi to the chat.
Yep.
But I don't know. Some of you may be over on the Sim stream. I'm not going to blame you there, but that's the more all the lady YouTubers are on.
Oh, okay.
Not that I'm trying to give people ideas. Anyway, welcome, Horizon Talker. You were first. Hello, Big Al. Have a great stream, my friends. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Big Al. And be sure to check out him on Friday. He'll be doing a rewatch of The Witch with my sometimes co-host on Soundtrack's Birdman. Well, I'm his sometimes co-host with and he'll be on with him. So Deleted Scenes. And you can catch me on Deleted Scenes channel this Tuesday with Troy Pacelli here and Netter of Netter's Network. And we're going to be watching the first episode of Twin Peaks, and what's hoped to be a weekly series where we just discuss one of the greatest television shows of all time and see how well it holds up. I have a suspicion it's going to end up being timeless as we watch it, but we'll see. Any thoughts? Or did you leave? Okay. Okay. Welcome, Bryson. Welcome, Troy Pacelli. Welcome, Netter of Netter's Network. Welcome to the chat. And welcome, Deleted Scenes. You can always catch his pre-show on before me. And his link is in the chat. He was talking a little bit about the whole Green Lantern situation, which we're going to be discussing. It doesn't end.
Nope.
What you're doing isn't unique. Many other artists have done this thing where they take an established heterosexual character and make he or she gay.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing. You're not being clever. And when people go to escapism, they're not going to get politics injected into their escapism. They're wanting to escape, and you keep injecting politics into the escapism. But we'll get to that later.
Yep.
Anyway, so Horizon Talker, Jesse Guardo, welcome. Let's see here. Did I get everybody? We'll get some people in the stream as the stream goes on. So I guess we have to reflect on the good old days.
We have to, because I'm finding less and less to be happy about these days, let me tell you.
I say it's always darkest before the dawn, but we'll get into that later in the stream, because I think somebody screwed up big time with a certain cancellation that's in the headline, and we'll get into that later. But here we are. Since unfortunately it ties into our in memoriam tonight, we're going to talk about the Rocky movies, especially that first Rocky movie. And I know we've probably touched on these a bit before, but to be fair, we've never touched on it entirely as a series. So are you a fan of the Rocky series?
I am very much a fan of the Rocky series. And although I have every single, DVD, including all of the Creed series, I did not see the last Rocky, and I have not seen any of the Creed series yet.
Okay. I have only seen the first Creed movie. For what it's worth, I liked it. I thought it was an interesting passing of the torch, because it was about the like an illegitimate son of Apollo Creed.
Sure.
And his story. And it was interesting. It was a good, solid movie. I haven't seen 2 yet, and I haven't seen 3 yet. I know Stallone wasn't involved in it, and I have issues with that. It doesn't necessarily mean the movie is bad.
Right.
I'm just I know that was that was a problem with him having a fight with the producers too, because unfortunately he did not have full rights to it, because in order to become the starring lead in the original Rocky, he had to sign over some rights, correct?
Yeah.
Because everybody loved the screenplay in Hollywood. They were wanting to make it, but he was insisting he had to be the one to play the part.
Right.
And it's a good thing he did play the part, because I think it really set off his career big time when that came out. And I have a question. When it came out, did you see it in the theater, or was it more of a thing you caught on television?
I did catch it later. I actually did not see a Rocky film until was it 2 or 3 that I saw in the theaters with my
Right.
grandparents.
Right.
And yeah, I did have to go back and watch. So I didn't see Rocky the first movie first. I saw it later, but I had the back then sequels were done in such a way they did not assume you had seen the previous film. So you could go into it and kind of get caught up pretty quick. And so honestly, I didn't know. A spoiler for a 40-year-old movie or something like that. Didn't know that Rocky didn't win the battle or the fight in the first movie. You know, I guess I assumed either one or something, and I didn't understand why. I understood enough why there had to be a what do you call it? A channel, the second movie, another fight. You get the impression Apollo Creed has, this ego, and hey, I don't want it to be said that I'm not the best of the best. I'll fight you again. I'll win again. Whatever. But
There's your sequel.
yeah,
That was
exactly.
79, I believe that came out, correct?
Right.
Yes.
And but the thing to remember, and I think looking back because of the way the sequels went, uh, this was a time when you didn't have a lot of sequels, but it was the start of when sequels were starting to come. Remember Godfather and Godfather 2? That was actually kind of a shock that not only did you have such a great
Yeah.
artistic, what do you call it, award-winning film that got a sequel, but the sequel was also that good and award-winning. In fact, I believe uh, Godfather 1 and 2 were the first films and the sequel to both win Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So, and it was right in that era when Rocky came out, and it was very much in that same kind of vein. You got to put yourself back to the 70s. This was before Star Wars. This was before, the big summer films and blockbusters. This was when a lot of these dramatic films were the kind of films your parents wanted to see, right? And Rocky kind of fell in there with things like The Godfather and um, um, what was that? What was that one with um, um, Dustin Hoffman? I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
Midnight Cowboy.
Midnight Cowboy,
Ooh,
films like
yeah.
that. Very serious films, right? These
Edgy,
were,
and they did well too. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and Rocky was very much not quite as edgy as Midnight Cowboy, but it was about a guy down on his luck, just
Yeah.
trying to get by and whatnot, and um, you know,
It was gritty.
yeah, it was very, very gritty, and but
Gave you a good feeling at the end, but throughout the movie,
yeah,
it's
it
gritty. Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
so gritty though that
Mhm.
it couldn't be a family film. The
Yes.
kids, they may was there strong language, and I don't even remember
I
what the
don't think
rating
so. In
was.
fact, I don't think it was even an R-rated film. Was it PG? I believe.
It
Yeah.
might have been,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't remember there being anything about it that but yeah, and it is a good movie that I would want my kids to see because it'd be like, yeah, this is a success story. There's a hero. He's not saving the world. He's not, he doesn't have superpowers or anything. He's just an average schmo, and
Hmm.
he's working hard to start a family, take care of himself and his, soon to be wife, and
Talia Shire,
Talia Shire,
who's
and
a regular woman. She's not some glamorous. I mean, not that she wasn't, pretty in her own right, but she
yeah,
wasn't like a. They
she
they
wasn't
were
like a
they
bombshellish
were
type of,
working class people. That was the
yeah,
point. That's what it was. Probably be
and
PG-13, maybe deleted scene.
so he's working hard as a working stiff, but he's working out because he
Hmm.
wants to be a boxer because he's hoping to make something of himself. But as the series progresses, you realize he's kind of sacrificing his own safety and health for this you know what he's doing. And he does get challenged by his wife later on. Why are you really doing it? Well, I'm doing it to provide for you and the kid. Are you, or are you doing it because you want to feel like somebody, like you're a big shot? And he
Hmm.
bristles at that, but he's got to wrestle with the fact that maybe she's right. So it is an incredible series as it goes, especially by the time you get to the third movie.
Right,
It's
with Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T. Yeah, it launched Mr. T. It still had many of the same qualities. It was another film that kind of elevated the story, but then you start getting into the silliness, the crazy robot, and all that kind of stuff. And
That
it's
was in
like,
Rocky 4.
oh, was that Rocky Four? I'm
Yes,
sorry. I'm
yes,
sorry. Yeah,
yes,
you're
yeah.
right. Well, no, the reason is because in
Back in the
Rocky,
80s, we thought robots were right around the corner. We were going to have
it's
personal
true.
robot servants, you know?
And Rocky 3 did have a little bit of not quite as bad. Okay, you're right. Not as bad as the robot, but that whole jumping the shark, doing the exercising to be seen by people and stuff, and
Yeah.
he realizes he's lost his edge.
Hmm.
It's like
Exactly.
he's got to get that eye of the tiger back, which is where the song comes in, right? It's you
Yes.
forgot what it was like to be, you know, running through the streets of Philadelphia, eating raw eggs and punching frozen meat, running up those stairs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now you're skipping rope for the cameras, and this guy's going to waste you. Then you realize, that Clubber Lang was the character's name, right?
Hmm.
Mr. T.
Yeah.
He has the eye of the tiger. He really does. But like to the extreme, he's like testosterone on testosterone and steroids. It's just you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Surprised he didn't fight the Macho Man Randy Savage in one of those movies. Okay.
well, he did
Hulk Hogan.
in that same movie he did
Hulk
fight
Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, right?
Which I thought was kind of funny, actually. Yeah, that Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was a big deal at the time too. I remember.
And
Yeah.
I love that. That was he goes in, he looks, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" It's fine. It's just an exhibition about you. You just throw a few punches. He throws you around a little bit, whatever. Oh, then you realize, and it's kind of that whole take on the wrestling is fake thing, right? When he
Yeah.
picks him up and throws him, he's like, he's gonna kill me.
Oh, that's funny. And we always talk about Stallone, but we don't want to forget about Carl Weathers either.
Oh
Big
gosh,
part of this
Carl Weathers,
series.
right?
Yeah.
Not
Uh,
not to, and we can't forget, he was Apollo Creed, right? And
yeah.
he was only in what? He was only in the 3 movies, right?
4.
Because he made
He
it to
was in
4.
he was in 4 because that's when he has the bout with Ivan Dragoff,
It's a
right?
Drago that,
Yes, yes,
that's his
Drago, yes.
demise, exactly.
And that was heartbreaking because he was getting angry because, of course, this was height of we're still in the Cold War at this point.
Right.
You weren't around the Cold War. You don't understand the tensions. Even in the 80s, there were tensions with Soviet Union and the United States, and I'm sure people on both citizens on both sides are worried we were going to end up in a nuclear holocaust or something. It was just going to happen. So here we have this movie, and of course you see this Dolph Lundgren playing this like Superman, basically in this movie.
Yeah,
and
it's like the Superman that the nationalist
right.
National Socialists of Germany used to talk about. Tall, muscular,
Blonde,
blonde hair,
And here we go. Here's the Soviet guy, and of course, there's this match when they have the exhibition match, because of course this isn't officially because there's Soviet Union's not involved with American boxing, right? But they have an exhibition match, right? And Apollo Creed comes out, and James Brown is singing this wonderful song about
living in America,
how great living in America is. Mentions all the big cities and everything. It's a great song. In fact, I've joked this could be a potential national anthem someday.
Right.
But and of course Apollo Creed comes out, and I think, what is he in, red, white, and blue boxers, or he has a red, white, and blue motif on. I know that, and of course Drago just says to him, "You will lose."
Yeah.
And it's foreboding because you're like, oh, and Rocky, I guess, is his coach in that, or what's the word?
Lieutenant, I guess.
Lieutenant, okay, because he's telling him, don't go back in, and Apollo Creed, no, I have to be, because it's getting dangerous now.
And again, the music is just like you said, living in America, but the theme song for the movie was another Survivor song, not as big on the charts as Eye of the Tiger from the previous one, In the Burning Heart. Right. And if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it kind of outlines this whole story arc of the movie. You know, it's not just about a man against a man, it's about two rival nations.
Yeah.
And if anyone followed like the competitions between the USSR and the USA,
Especially in the Olympics.
whether it was the
The big thing,
Olympics,
yeah.
whether it was chess,
Oh
it
yeah.
was all about, you know, you represent your nation, you are the best we got. You know, if you fail, I mean, and it, you know, we even see it going back to the space race. You know, they made it in, they got Sputnik up first, they got into orbit first, they got the first woman up before we finally got to the moon, you know.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
everyone seemed to lose interest, but that's beside the point.
Well, anyway, it was a yeah, well, Jeff Bezos didn't, but I'm kidding. No, I'm just
Well,
joking.
yeah.
Anyway, what was I going to say though? So we get to Rocky 5. I have not seen Rocky 5.
Rocky 5. If I saw it, I don't remember it really
No one
well.
remembers Rocky 5. I have them all on Blu-ray. I need to watch them front to back again. That'll be a thing later on. But yeah, Rocky 5 for some reason I missed. I remember the critics were kind of bashing it at the time, but I don't know that that means it's a bad movie. Critics can be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rocky 4 I kind of feel is the best way to end that original run. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, yeah.
Sans the robot.
Yeah, right. Exactly. My understanding, well, that fifth one was that Rocky Balboa?
No, Rocky 5
Okay, so
comes
that's
before
another
Rocky.
one.
Rocky
Okay.
Balboa was the 2006 movie where and this is interesting because this sort of reminded me of I don't know if this came before or after John Rambo because they did another Rambo movie
Right.
around the same time during the aughts, and it's like, well, here are these 80s icons and now they're back.
Right.
Stallone's older now, and of course at this point Rocky I think is retired from boxing.
Yeah.
He's running his restaurant, which I think that same restaurant appears in Creed as well, which I thought was interesting. They kept the continuity there. But it's interesting though because he hires this his his wife is passed on at this point.
Yeah.
I think he has a strained relationship with his son. Did he also have a daughter as well, I believe? If we're going by
That
the
I
original
don't
series.
remember. I
Okay,
don't
he has
remember that
kind
from
of a
the
strained
original
relationship with his son, but you do get to see the son in the movie. They sort of have an okay thing by the end of the movie, but it's interesting because he befriends this woman from the neighborhood who, she's a single mom, and and he makes her his hostess at a restaurant. Oh, you want someone young to be your hostess, not someone like, no, you'll be my hostess. And there's a wonderful scene in the movie where I don't know if some kids were making fun of her or doing something, and she gets in the car and she goes to Rocky, it's okay, and he says no. It's not okay. And he gets out and he starts, he tells gives the teens what for.
Yeah.
And what's funny is later on in the movie when he actually has his, because there's going to be a match in it, because it wouldn't be a Rocky movie without a match. When he fights, the teens that he yelled at are actually cheering him on, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's another
because it's all about respect.
It's a recurring theme, right? Because you start out with Rocky and Apollo being at odds with each other, becoming best friends, right?
Yeah.
And then, from what I hear, there's a certain kind of, well, actually, by the end of Rocky 4, even though, Rocky's got every reason to hate, Drago, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily become friends, but they find some respect for each other, And
exactly.
my understanding is that in the Creed movies, there's that similar kind of story arc with Ivan and his son and Apollo's son, Creed and so forth.
I'm kind of curious. I need to watch Creed 2. It's been on my docket to watch. Because I know it is the return of, and of course this is a big deal because Creed's fighting the son of the man who killed his dad. I mean that's you knew this was going to happen at some point in the series. There was going to be a reckoning on that, but it happened. I guess it happens in Creed 2, and I do need to watch it. But I think one person made a point in their review that Ivan Drago's life after that match kind of went to crap in Russia.
Yeah,
and it's sort of the bitterness of that. Whereas I'm kind of be curious if his character gets redeemed or at least shown in a different light. I'm kind of curious if it's going to be like a Karate Kid type moment or something. I don't know, but
I suspect,
like
without
Kai,
having,
I should say,
without having seen that movie,
mm-hmm.
I've heard stories about, their chess champions and
Mhm.
their what do you call it? Their athletes and so forth. You have one job to go and make us look good, and then when that's done, okay, you're done. You know.
I often feel terrified for these athletes because, of course, we're rooting for the United States, but in some of these harsher countries like China, I'm not going to say okay. In other things, like if they lose, I feel bad because I don't know if they're going to have repercussions. I'm thinking these are just athletes. This is,
Yeah.
they're not. I don't look at them as necessarily the enemy. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
something like that. And I'm just, I hope that they don't have nasty repercussions when they go back home. It's sort of like Johnny Lawrence in the beginning of Karate Kid Part Two
Right.
when he's getting attacked, and I'm saying he got second place. He did
Yeah.
his best, and the teacher's still attacking him. And
Yeah.
it's
I
just yeah.
like what Samuel Proctor said. Seeing Rocky 3, I did not expect that friendship between Rocky and Apollo. I love that. And yeah, that's great, great
Mhm.
writing. It's
Yeah.
like, look, when it comes right down to it, there's no reason for us to hate each other. Yes, the sport they're involved in involves beating the crap out of each other, but it's not personal, right? It's still a sport. And at the end of it, it's and so then when you can see like, you know, Apollo start to train Rocky, and Rocky come back, to support Apollo later on. It's like, yeah, our fights are done. We're in fact, that's not true because uh if I recall, at the end, wasn't at the end of 3, they decide to have one more bout between them with no cameras and no one else watching, just
Yeah.
just for us to see who's better, right?
Exactly.
I love that. That's the kind of thing friends do,
Yeah.
right? This is not an ego thing that I need to show off and tell everyone else I'm better. I just need to work it out between us, and then we'll, you know, go bandage up and have a coffee or something.
Yeah, it's weird though that what you said reminded me of the movie Spartacus with Kirk Douglas. Remember that?
Oh
And
yeah,
there's a scene where he goes to talk to the Ethiopian. He's trying to be friendly to the guy, and he says,
yeah,
"I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to get to know you. I might have to kill you someday."
yeah,
And that's rather harsh. And of course, we see not long later he gets into a match with the Ethiopian, and there's that moment where
yeah,
it actually ends up a lot differently. I'm not going to spoil the scene if you haven't seen Spartacus, but it's a very poignant scene, and it's another reason why I love that movie. Of course, that's if you think about it, that's well, in some ways it starts out as a sports movie that turns into something else.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
Spartacus, but
Yeah, and that
it's
is
just
that is a it does help when you have that kind of background going into
yeah,
something like Rocky, which
yeah,
many people did.
yeah.
You go into Rocky and you're like, it's not that serious. No one has to die. No one should die.
People
You
do get
know.
hurt in boxing or in any sports. I mean,
Well, and that's a big big
there's
part
some
of
risk.
number
Yeah,
4. So,
yeah,
you know, but yeah, it's like,
yeah.
there you go. But yeah, great movie. One thing we didn't talk too much about, and we really
Mhm.
should,
Yep,
to kind of pivot
sure.
here, the importance of a minor character
Yes,
throughout the early films. His brother-in-law, was it Paulie? Was
I
that
think
his name?
so. Yes,
Yeah,
I think of
Paulie.
Latino slant Paulie, but I
Oh
forget the
yeah,
name.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. His name is
He
Paulie, I believe. Yeah,
So it's this whole thing where I think, didn't they work together at the meat plant?
they did. They did.
And Paulie sets him up with his sister, and I don't want a blind date, whatever, and he ends up kind of really liking her, right? And she's
Yes,
real shy, real introverted, and he's
right.
trying to draw her out a little bit. And he's not trying to be a cad with her or anything. He's trying to be nice, a
Yes,
friend's sister and everything, and really ends up liking her, and
yes.
really has to help her a little bit with her self-esteem, because she thinks he's having her on. Yeah, why
That
would you like
he'd never be interested in me or something. This
Yeah,
good looking
yeah.
man or something. Yeah, exactly.
And
Uh,
you do get that impression too, that like Paulie wants the thing to work out with them, but he does imply that he's going to protect his sister. But what's he going to do against Rocky, right? But he would. But he's also a little harsh with his sister too, and in that kind of stunad greaseball kind of you know uh way. Sometimes Rocky's gotta, hey, that's your sister,
yeah.
back off.
Respect.
very I hate to say this, but very kind of lower class Italian dynamic, you know.
Right.
And damn it, I come from Italian stock. I can talk about these things because I've seen them firsthand. So don't give me
Firsthand,
any crap
yes.
later. You're not gonna dox. You're not gonna, what do you call it? Cancel me over this stuff. But yeah, you know, he's a little bit of a greaseball, and he's like that uncle, brother-in-law, cousin, whatever. You're a little embarrassed about him, but he's family. You gotta love him, right?
Exactly.
Very, very important character. I don't think, I mean, it's another one of those elements where you could do without the character, but it wouldn't be as fleshed out a story without him, you
I'm
know.
trying to remember if he shows up in Rocky Balboa or not. I want to say he did, but I don't remember. I'd have to rewatch it. But I know
And
he was in.
like I said, I didn't see that movie, so I
You didn't see
just
Rocky
don't know.
Balboa, the one from
I did not.
2006?
I did not.
Okay,
Yeah,
well
I didn't see the
you're in
latter
for a
two.
treat. They're the later ones, I'll say, and Creed 1 I saw it, liked it a lot. I haven't seen the other two, but I need to just sit down and go from front to finish and revisit those the way I revisited the Dirty Harry movies a couple years ago. I think that might be on the docket for me next year. I'll take my mind off of the world for a little bit, watch some Rocky movies. But yeah, they are classics, and he is one of the most enduring
I'm just
characters of
looking real
cinema.
quick on IMDb to see if he was in. Let's see here. He's been in a lot of movies too. That's the other thing, you know. Yeah, he was in Rocky Balboa, 2006.
Who would dare to cancel Don Pacelli, Pacelli to fund Disney?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I see, because of the way you look into your thumbnail.
yeah. That's
Anyway,
right.
but we do have some bad news to talk about tonight.
Yeah, yeah. The actor who played Paulie that we were just talking about, Burt Young, just passed away.
Yeah,
That was a bit of a surprise. And again, like I said, I know him from the Rocky movies, but he's been in a
he's been in a lot of stuff.
whole lot.
He's one of these character actors where you're like, oh, I know that guy. I've seen,
Yeah.
you just don't know where from, but sometimes you remember too. Yeah, let me go back to the top of the thing. Burt Young, Rocky actor, dead at 83.
Yeah.
And you want to post the link
Oh,
or
I'm sorry.
oh,
Yeah,
it's okay.
I was looking
All
at
right.
that IMDb and I
It's
give
fine.
me a second. There we
But
go.
yeah, unfortunately he passed away. Burt Young, the Oscar nominated actor known for his role as Paulie in
Yep.
Rocky, has died. Fox News Digital confirmed he was 83. But yeah, here we are. Let me continue on. His cause of death was not immediately known. According to the New York Times, Young died October 8th in Los Angeles. Burt was an actor of tremendous emotional raise. His manager, Linda Bensky, said in a statement provided to Fox News Digital, he could make you cry and he could scare you to death. Bensky added, but the real pathos that I experienced was the poignancy of his soul. That's where it came from. Young had more than 160 credits to his name, but was best known for playing Sylvester Stallone's brother-in-law, Paulie, in 6 of the Rocky movies. Stallone paid tribute to his former co-star after learning of his passing Wednesday night, taking to Instagram to write, "To my dear friend, Burt Young, you were an incredible man and artist. I and the world will miss you very much. Rest in peace." Young was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in the first Rocky film and was one of 3 actors to reprise roles throughout the franchise, including Stallone and Tony Burton. Okay. Surprised. He's one of these actors you've seen in 100 movies. Big staple of 70s cinema too, I believe, right?
Yeah, and a lot
Yeah.
of TV. He was in an episode of MASH, Serpico, a bunch of things.
Yeah.
May not realize. I mean, you look at him, you know he's Italian, right? So Young is not his original last name. His original last name, DeLuise.
Okay, but they probably figured that he had to pick a
Yeah.
stage name, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, he decided to go with the stage name. He was also a jarhead. He was a U.S. Marine Corps, 57 to 59.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so he
So
served the country too. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, there's no doubt he deserves respect. But that from 1970 through this year. No, 69. His first acting role was in The Doctors, a TV series in
Oh.
69. But yeah, he was.
Was he a patient or something? The doctors were
Oh,
treating,
I don't know.
or was he one of the doctors? I don't know.
He was in one episode, so I don't know. But apparently he's got a film that's still to be two films to still be released. Way of the Warriors and Asleep at the Wheel. They are both in production. So I don't know how far those films are in the process, and whether he'll still be in the film when it's released, but we may still see a couple more roles from him. He was
Well,
that
that's good.
prolific.
Yeah, he was all over the place. I remember when you and Big Al and Netter, I wasn't watching with. I mean, I wasn't on the stream, but I was listening with you when you were watching, doing a rewatch of Rocky.
Yeah.
And there's that scene where I think it's on New Year's Day or Eve, or when he gets into the big fight with Rocky. Remember
Right.
that?
Yes.
And I think I made a comment like he needs to get into an anger management program.
Exactly. Exactly right. And you know people like that. You do. It's just great portrayal of a very real type of character.
And that's what I love about 70s cinema. It had a grounding in reality. And granted, I think 80s cinema was a bit more escapist too when you get into it. And 80s cinema was great in its own right. I'm not picking on 80s cinema. I know Tarantino says, "Oh, that's when things went." No, there were still hard-hitting movies coming out in the 80s as well. But yeah, there was something about 70s movies though. I do like them a lot. And
Did you know
Rocky's a
he was
classic.
also in, and I'd forgotten this, he was in Amityville 2, The Possession.
That's right. He was the dad.
Yeah.
The Montelli family. That was a different name. They
Yep.
changed the name of the family for the movie. Remember the Montelli family.
Yep.
Oh, that movie. Gene Siskel really hated Amityville 2. It was one of his bad movies of the year or week. He was very angry about it. He was, he was wringing his hand about it, when that came out.
Yeah, they took some.
It's funny.
I'm glad they changed the name of the characters, though, because they changed some things about their lives that.
Their relationship, yeah.
Yeah, it was very inappropriate. And when you remember that there was real people that they're telling a story about.
Well, that was a horrific thing that happened, whether or not the devil was involved. It was still a horrific thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's almost like the devil had to be involved. There's no other way around. It was
so awful.
Yeah,
it was an entire family getting murdered by the brother, and it's like they made a point though that the character, the person in real life, the dad, the son kept trying to leave the house and go off on his own, but he kept getting returned, and they think maybe he had possibly he had some organized crime connections. He wasn't in it, but maybe he could call in a favor, find my son for me and bring him home.
Right.
That sort of thing. Yeah. Right, and they think that's how he kept getting returned. Because to be fair, the son wanted to get out of there, and maybe it would have been better for everybody if they had just let him go. But
yeah.
So here we are though. Rest in peace, Burt Young. And now we have to move on into our modern day.
Our modern day hell, which is Disney.
Disney never change.
So we had because we bring you the news, it gets announced, and regardless of what we think about it, we'll bring it to you and talk about it. And a couple of weeks back, we were talking about Bob Iger being so exhausted and wanting to silence the noise, right? And we all said, yeah, we'll believe it when we see it. Well, folks, this is not how you silence.
Nothing's changing. They're not going to change. They are going to double down on stupid until they lose.
I don't care what kind of Kool-Aid you're sipping around the cantina. Don't buy it. Nothing's changing.
Yeah, it's a pity too, because I keep thinking that Peltz is going to change things, but I don't know. He's going to get fought every step of the way. Yes, deleted scenes. Rest in peace, Burt Young. But anyway, let's go to our first article.
Yep.
Disney names Tanisha Agramonte Chief Diversity Officer.
Yep.
So, of course, they still have diversity. Okay. So, Disney has named Tanisha Agramonte its new Chief Diversity Officer and Senior Vice President, effective immediately. Agramonte replaces Disney's former head of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Ops, Latondra Newton, who stepped down from the role in June. She report directly to Sonia Coleman, Disney's Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer. Most recently, Agramonte, who joined the company a year ago, served as Vice President of DEI Talent Outreach and Development for the Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products Division. Per Disney, she is a passionate and all around and is passionate around supporting military families, veterans, and first generation college students and corporate professionals, and is known for a strategic data driven approach to DEI. Throughout her career, she has helped organizations become more inclusive and recognizes the impact DEI has on business optimization. That sounds like a bunch of corporate speak. I have no idea how this person is.
I'll tell you what, it's
life,
a bunch of BS to justify something that they feel they have to do.
Yeah. So, but they're not getting rid of the whole DEI thing. It's implanted in here. I don't know if this is BlackRock has their tendrils firmly implanted into this organization. I don't know, but I'm not expecting things to improve, at least on the entertainment front.
You know, as other companies are starting to back off of this, and lawsuits now are starting to come out where I was denied a job because I wasn't the right color and blah, 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 blah. Look, there are labor laws that ended companies' abilities to discriminate based on race. Now they're trying to bring it back and realizing, guess what? Those laws are still in place.
Yeah.
You know? And so people are suing and winning. And these companies are starting to realize they're screwed. I could talk to you about what a buddy of mine's been telling me about what's happening over at Walgreens. But bottom line is a lot of companies are losing a lot of money and doing a lot of retracting. I mean, in size and reach and closing stores because of what's resulted from all of this. And they're firing DEI people left and right. Disney, they're doubling down. They are pointing the jet straight at the ground and hitting the afterburners.
They said it would change when Chapek came in. They also said things would change when Iger came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Chapek was going to save Star Wars, just like Filoni is going to save Star Wars, just like everything's going to be reset because of the bridge between time or whatever bullshit Filoni came up with. Nah. Keep drinking the Kool-Aid at the cantina, folks.
Anyway, but like I said, DI equals die, period. Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
But
it's the best way to end a business. And welcome, Mark. Mark, who I'm going to have to give some credit to later on in the stream because he's my source for another Disney article we'll be getting to shortly.
Yes. So, what was I going to say? So we don't talk too much about Star Wars on this stream, but I think Ahsoka came out recently. Did it do well in the ratings?
Not at all.
And it wasn't well received either.
Despite the spin that some people try to put on it, including the shill media. No, it lost. Well, it lost money just like every streaming service does. That is not a business model that can stand on its own and be a moneymaker. It is a repository for content to make a little extra change after you've already made your money off of something. As many entertainment industry film producers are starting to realize, you release it at the theater, you make your money there. You release it through some license agreement with a cable company or another third party, make some more money there. You know, you put it out on DVD and home media and you make money there. You make money off all the toys. And then guess what? You've made a profit. Now, when you throw it on your proprietary, Disney minus, you're not losing anything. You know, it's just another reason for people to subscribe to you and keep subscribing to you.
Right.
But no, it lost money as you would expect. They spent more money on it than it actually made. And it got such horrible reviews by everyone who wasn't snorting pixie dust that the scuttlebutt from behind the scenes over at Disney
is triggering for me, scuttlebutt.
Yeah, it is now, right? Because of Little Mermaid, right?
Yes.
the scuttlebutt from behind the curtain over at Disney is that people are not real happy with Dave Filoni right now. You know, even if you argue Kennedy has nothing to do with it anymore, Filoni's still in charge, and he's buggered it up. And now they're talking about putting the brakes on any new shows, about his new movie, all of this kind of stuff. I'm telling you, everyone said, oh, they're going to introduce Thrawn, and, you know, everyone's going to cry, just like when we saw Luke Skywalker. No, this version of Thrawn went over like a wet fart.
He may have been a good voice actor. I don't think he had the physical presence to play that character, at least from what I know about that character. I mean, I'm not big into the EU, but he's supposed to be imposing.
That is the least of his problems. The problem is that this is Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's the Moriarty of Star Wars. He is supposed to be brilliant upon brilliant. Well, you need to be a brilliant writer to write him, right? Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a brilliant man. He wrote Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty like, oh my gosh. You know, it's like, I can't even imagine thinking that way. And he does. And this is how Timothy Zahn wrote him. He wrote him brilliantly. And unfortunately...
Well, it's too bad Timothy Zahn passed away and they couldn't hire him to write some episodes. He's alive. He's very much alive and still writing Star Wars books. Why didn't they just hire him to help with the series and help with the writing?
Because they don't want
That's what they used to do back in the old days. Star Trek had... The original Star Trek series had well-known science fiction writers writing
and
episodes.
all the greats,
Harlan Ellison wrote episodes.
Larry Niven even on the animated series. You know, it's like... But no, they don't do that. They try to do it on the cheap, and you get what you pay for. So Filoni is the one who's writing Thrawn, and he gives him a few zingy liners to make it sound like he's intelligent. But anyone analyzing these stories, you know, and let's face it, YouTube is ripping this shit apart because this is what they do. You watch like the Critical Drinker and so many other analysts that just rip it apart on how stupid it is.
It's funny. Pop's on Pop Culture, he had a video where he's reacting to Grace Randolph trying to, I guess
Grace Randolph, who doesn't have two brain cells
I think
rub together either.
Well, that's true, but she's doing her thing where she's trying to defend the show and stuff, but then she's saying, well, this didn't make sense and this didn't make sense. And if you're listening to it, it doesn't sound like it's a good show for the way she's describing it.
And you know why? That's because it ain't. Maybe, you know, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, swims like a duck, maybe it's a duck.
So anyway, here we go. We have... Yeah, so that's it for more DEI. They're going to double down on it. They're going to double down on everything, and they're going to keep losing money. And then they're going to double down some more, and they're going to keep losing money. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe the expression shouldn't be "get woke, go broke." Go broke, get woke is what it's starting to seem like, because it seems like they're just getting worse as they lose more money. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much.
Deadpool 3 release date delayed.
Yeah, well, we kind of saw this coming, but well, I'll comment after you.
The only thing Disney has in the works that I have any interest in right now,
and
is
I'm
this
losing
movie.
Interest, to be honest.
And I'm worried that they're gonna, I don't know, cut the knees off of this film, because I know Ryan Reynolds knows what he's doing, and I like the idea of his Deadpool and Wolverine being in the same movie.
Right,
that's hilarity right there.
But I'm sure both of them are at the point where they're like, why did we do this? And I'll tell you the answer. It's like, we've been trying to get this done for so long. We got to see it through, you know.
Deadpool 3 has been delayed from its May 3rd, 2024 release date, with no new date announced by Marvel or 20th Century Studios. That's okay.
Yeah.
Many fans were speculating that Deadpool 3 would end up getting delayed as the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike made the timetable for completing its production look more and more impossible.
That's a big part of it, yeah.
Now reports are indicating that's indeed the case, as the actors' strike still needs to be resolved and the cast and crew reassembled to resume film. And the cast and crew reassembled to resume filming. Deadpool 3 has been shooting since May of this year. Production continued during the WGA strike, as the script was already finished, but was finally shut down in July when the actor strike went into effect. So they couldn't, when the actor strike was going on, the actors had to stop working, and they probably were still halfway through, or they could have almost been done.
Yeah.
Deadpool 3 director Sean Levy had already been preparing fans for this blow, stating it was likely coming in a recent interview with The Wrap. I don't even know if we officially have a release date. I know we were going to be May 3rd. Certainly, the actors' strike and the long pause in production have put that release date at true risk. We've shot half the movie. I've edited half the movie. We're dying to get back to work and get this movie out next year. While not entirely unexpected, Deadpool 3 is undoubtedly one of the films being hardest hit by the actor strike. As Levy confirmed, the film was halfway through production when things shut down. On a film like this, that's a massive strain on all involved. Yes, because you lose momentum with what you're doing. You kind of have to, including Deadpool 3 star Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, who both been working themselves tirelessly in the gym for the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, both these actors, they get into shape for these roles. Unlike
Yep.
certain other, I'm not going
to
to name names.
Not like a sparkly Batman, right?
And often letting fans in on the experience. Pausing those fitness routines or even maintaining them longer is no small strain to actors. That Ryan Reynolds, now 46 years old, and Jackman touching 55.
Yeah.
I have massive props for these two gentlemen, especially Jackman, for 55 and bulking
I'd
up
give
like
my
that.
eye teeth to be as ripped as he is. You were about the same age.
Yeah.
You know that?
Mm-hmm.
And I know everyone's out there saying, well, you have the same muscles he does. Get out and do it. Well, I'm a lazy friggin' slob,
Not only that, I used to go to the gym too. I'll start up if I ever have the spare time, but it's time consuming. That's another thing. It's not so much even that I hate the lifting of weights. It's just it takes time.
Yeah.
Speculation is also already turning toward what Marvel will do to salvage its 2024 slate. The early most likely bet is the studio will now focus on Captain America: Brave New World, which was done production and set for release July 2024. Captain America 4 could take that summer kickoff date. Deadpool 3 head in May, while the studio aims to finish filming Deadpool 3 and Thunderbolts. The latter was gearing up productions when the strikes hit, possibly releasing Deadpool in the fall or holiday season 2024. That's bad news for Thunderbolts right there. Because I suspect that the Thunderbolts was supposed to take off right after Captain America: Brave New World, because I think it was going to be related to that movie. Do you understand?
Yeah, but I
sort
don't
of like
care.
how when you had Thor and Captain America, the first Avenger, coming out the same summer. I think these two were tied.
Yeah. But nobody cares, so it really is not that big a deal. This is the only thing people care about.
Thunderbolts, basically their Suicide Squad. Right, where they have all the villains. So in this one, I think it's Ghost from the Ant-Man movies, Taskmaster, which they screwed up royally in that Black Widow movie. That's like a popular villain that they completely botched in that Black Widow movie.
A lot of this is, people didn't see it at the theaters. They certainly didn't see the D- series, so they don't know who any of these characters are. They don't give a fig. And that's what everyone's saying about the Marvels coming out. Nobody likes Brie Larson. They have no interest in seeing her. And the other two were only introduced in D- shows. So unless you were a subscriber and actually gave a crap about Marvel, and those two are not synonymous. Just because you subscribe to the Disney Plus does not mean that you even care or even watch any of that Marvel crap.
Yeah.
You might have just gotten it because you thought there might have been some good kids shows on there. There aren't anymore, but you might have thought that.
No, I mean, well, they used to do kid shows all the time. Disney, they used to have Aladdin series.
Still do, but now they're indoctrinational.
Well, you had that thing with what was it? The Big Hero 6 character, Baymax. They did the series. It was all they were talking about what feminine hygiene products.
Yeah. It's like, why is this in my kids' show?
I mean, I thought for years "Get Woke, Go Broke" was backwards. Yeah, maybe we should start saying "Go Broke, Get Woke." I won't say, but shareholders are starting to sue over DEI and woke crap for misleading investors, and they are winning. Yeah, I think so. I don't know who's still investing in Disney, but like I said, what's his name?
Well, the only ones that are now, because we have been watching it just go down, 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 month after month after month after month all year. It's only started to tick up a bit because I think a lot of investors have some faith that things are going to turn around because of Nelson Peltz. If Nelson Peltz doesn't bring the goods, it's gonna rock bottom out.
Mhm.
This is their last chance. And the efforts that are in charge there are still fighting pelts. This is their last chance to keep this company afloat.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I won't say where Cheryl's. Okay, but let me see. Troy, I'm surprised they didn't just animate Deadpool 3. You know what's interesting? A while back, there was a Deadpool video game made. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I might even have the voice of Ryan Reynolds in it. But it came out way after, I think, X-Men Origins Wolverine, but before the first Deadpool movie. And I think it finally got released. And I think for a while you could buy it digitally.
Uh-huh.
But it's gone now, and I think you can't even re-download it. I could be wrong. Like if you had a digital copy, you can't re-download it now too. Like that's lost media now if you unless you have the physical copy. So that was somebody was using with why you want to own physical games sometimes because sometimes they'll just disappear.
Exactly, which we'll also be touching on in a little bit.
So here we go.
So this is one that I do have to give a shout out to Mark Melnikoff, my friend. Yeah, keep it afloat like the Titanic, right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This is a source we don't usually pull in for the Geeky Geezers. This is Ammo Land. So if you're a 2A advocate or an enthusiast, you might follow Ammo Land. They bring a very interesting, different perspective on this whole Bambi thing. So, yeah, you want to get into this?
So let's get into this. The 1942 Disney children's classic Bambi is getting a remake, and chatter from Hollywood insiders suggests the reboot will not include one particularly critical scene. Not surprisingly, producers are leaving out the scene when the titular young fawn's mother is presumably killed by a hunter. Yep. Not to spoil the plot, but there's a treatment of the mom dying that I think some parents these days are more sensitive about than they were in the past, film writer and former director Lindsay Beer told a Movie News website. The decision is laughable. Bambi was produced in a way to smear the reputation of hunters. Outdoor writer Larry Case wrote in 2018 of how an editor at Outdoor Life wrote to Walt Disney of the unfair portrayal. Some things in the entertainment industry don't change. The same Hollywood anti-gun, anti-hunting culture behind the Bambi decision is reminiscent of an equally idiotic decision to reboot Looney Tunes while leaving out Elmer Fudd's iconic shotgun. Yes, they did that over on HBO Max. I think I mentioned that in the early days.
They did it with the Saturday morning cartoons for a long time.
No, but the rebooted ones, they were trying to do new cartoons with Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, and they were not having him use the shotgun. And people
I contend to this day, that's exactly why when they did what was the Tiny Toons? And they brought in they had like childish successors to the main characters. Right. So instead of Elmer Fudd, it was Elmira. And instead of being a hunter, she loved the little bunnies and she wanted to love them and hug them
and squeeze them and all that. Yeah, but they were different characters. They weren't messing with the iconic. Because Steven Spielberg, of course, probably still held, though he produced the show, he probably held the original Looney Tunes characters in high regard. So he's not going to try messing with those. Maybe for a new generation, this is like the next generation of tunes. That was what it was. It was Looney Tunes, the next generation. That's what that show was. I think, right?
I like Jesse Guajardo saying, Walt Disney may come back as a zombie and fire everybody. Well, he better do it quick because they're trying to cancel his ass now, too.
I'm waiting for that statue to get removed. It's only a matter of time.
I'll tell you what, when they remove that statue, that's the end for any legacy Disney support. They're done with the families. They are done with anybody who used to be a fan. Now it's just going to be wine moms and purple-haired weirdos.
Yeah. So viewing, and sometimes they're the same thing.
Anyway, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Viewers will have to wait until 2025 to see how the brilliant minds in Tinseltown choose to portray the death of Bambi's mother. For centuries, even before the founding of the country, young Americans learned safe and responsible firearm ownership from their parents. It was necessary for survival, not just for hunting and harvesting game to eat, but also for the security and protection. Millions of young people today learn the value and importance of firearm handling early on from families passing down traditions, down to education courses, youth programs like scouting and 4-H, cultivating the understanding of handling firearms makes for safer and more responsible gun owning adults. For Disney, this is problematic. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting take
That's their take on it.
That this is not just and every other outlet you're hearing from, they're trying to soften it for the snowflakes and the whatnot. No, this is absolutely an anti-gun, gun grabbing, frankly anti-American kind of a thing. I hadn't considered it that way, and it is ironic because, as the article points out, the whole idea of the hunter killing Bambi's mom was meant to be, how uncool it is to be hunting and this and that. It's not necessary. Guns, blah 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 blah.
I have a confession.
So it already was a gun problem. Yeah, what?
I've never watched Bambi from front to end. I've seen it in pieces.
Yeah.
I think by the time I finally got it on DVD, I think some of the luster of me watching older cartoons. I mean, if I was a kid, I would have wanted to watch it immediately. Yeah. I need to watch Bambi. It is considered one of the 5 greats. I don't know how it's portrayed in the movie. I know the scene with the one older deer saying, "Your mother can't be with you anymore." So maybe the hunters are portrayed as bad, or maybe they're. I often wonder if maybe it's just an opposing force to the.
I will shock you and probably many of the people listening here, although if they think about what I'm about to say, they might realize how right I am. The Lion King is just a remake of Bambi.
Some would say The Lion King is a remake of Kimba the White Lion, but we won't talk about that. Sorry.
Well, good point there. Good point.
That was an anime that had very similar, or was Simba, Kimba instead of.
But I don't know when that one came out.
In the 60s, yeah.
I was going to say, I bet it's either real close or Bambi came first.
Right.
But Bambi set all the tropes. I saw somebody sharing on Twitter today something about my first encounter with death, and it showed the Land Before Time, the Brontosaurus, the child, trying to wake up mom. And someone else responded with the similar picture from the Lion King, Simba trying to wake his dad. And I'm like, guys, I'm old school. And I shared that picture that I use in the thumbnail, and it's Bambi trying to wake his mom and the blood all over. It's like, yeah, back when I did it was old school and they didn't pull any punches. That wasn't raspberry jam on the forest floor, my friends.
No, though it's funny. I did read a poem once about a decomposing bummy, and the poet said that I guess its outturned guts were like a ripe raspberry. That was the metaphor, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. So how are they going to redo the Fox and the Hound? I'm guessing that it's going to be Fox Lives Matter and defund the hounds. Something like that, I'm guessing.
It's dawned on me, movies with animal protagonists, I'm not like anthropomorphizing where they're animals. I don't think I get that into. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's funny, though. I used to watch this anime called Excel Saga.
Mm-hmm.
And the joke behind the anime, it was a comedy anime series, and they were basically, each episode is making fun of a different genre of anime. And one episode was about someone writing, so can you make Excel Saga like a show from the animal's point of view? So then it was about their dog that they had in their apartment and what the dog happens. And the dog goes on this adventure. And it's all about how, like, the dog runs away, but then she ends up with strays, and then she meets a dog that has a collar, and like they think down on the strays, and it's this whole and like the dog catcher's a villain, and it's this whole weird I don't want to say like drama thing with these dogs. Anyway, you'd have to see it, but it was
anyway. So yeah, speaking of how remakes as opposed to originals, maybe Disney realizes that they need to start looking at their classics and giving people what they want and making some money off the physical media again. Maybe.
All right. Kimba thing has been disproved 2 years ago. Well, I don't know. I know that there was a lawsuit involved, and then maybe it was thrown out because there wasn't any proof. So I don't know. Like I say,
that's not the same as being disproved. That means there wasn't enough evidence.
Well, I don't know. To be fair, I've never seen Kimba the White Lion, so I can't say from personal experience. So we'll see. Snow White to get 4K Blu-ray release in October. All right. Yeah, this is basically a I want to say an editorial thing, because we were talking, I think, last week about Snow White coming to 4K on Disney Plus, and I'm like, why aren't they giving it physical? Oh, they already did. Yeah, so there you go. If you want to own a 4K HD Blu-ray copy of Snow White and you don't want to subscribe to Disney Plus, here's your chance.
And there is a part of me that can't help but think that, this is a little desperation on their part. They know they're not doing well with this whole look, their 100 anniversary. Everyone is crapping all over their Off-White remake. They got to make some money here, so they're kind of doing the bare minimum, right?
Yes. Let me see. Oh, do you mind if I make a comment about Jessica Rota real quick? I'm sorry, people still hunt for two reasons: one, population control, and some people hunt for food.
That's the other very important point, is that people forget part of conservation is sometimes population control. If you, for example, have reduced the wolf and coyote population in an area because they're killing you and your dogs and your kids and whatnot, and you don't want that anymore. Okay, so you take them out. Well, now the deer population starts to go up. And you know what happens to deer when they become overpopulated with no predators? They still die. They die of starvation.
Well, here's your answer to how Bambi's mother is going to die. She's going to starve to death in the remake.
Yeah, but not just her. It'll be all the adults.
And they'll be saving food for the children. That's more depressing, actually.
Yeah. Well, no, they won't. You know why they won't do that? Because that's too close to socialism.
Right.
Because that's exactly what anyone who's lived through a socialist regime knows about. Starvation. And parents starving themselves to feed their kids.
Yes, apparently that happened over in Ukraine many decades ago, right?
Yeah.
Because of the Soviet policies. But anyway, if you purchase an independently reviewed product or service through... Oh, wait, that's... I need to read what I paste. Okay.
What?
I just... Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is getting the 4K treatment. Disney announced Wednesday
and
morning.
I posted the article. You can go look at it. Let's move on to the response.
Okay, but...
really, what else do we need to say about it? It's the truth. Let's... I got to break this up.
So it's a lie. Okay, well, good to know, Panda Proctor. I'll look into that. Let's go to the next story.
So here we go. So this is I put this under the pushback against Disney. The Daily Wire is making a live-action Snow White movie starring conservative YouTuber Brett Cooper. Oop, I didn't mean to say watch teaser, but you could watch the teaser if you want to. Well, it is linked in that article.
It's linked in the article, yes. So here we go. Conservative media company Daily Wire is making its own live-action adaptation of the Brothers Grimm fairy tale Snow White, called Snow White and the Evil Queen. The film, which is set to release in 2024, will be the first feature-length production for the company's kids' entertainment platform called Bentkey.
Yep.
And will star conservative YouTuber Brett Cooper, host of the platform's show The Comments Section. Daily Wire today revealed a teaser for the movie, which opens with a melody voiced by Cooper and written by Jeremy Waring, and a pan through a forest to reveal Cooper as Snow White. I was thrown for a loop with this because I first thought this was like like they were just trolling, and maybe in some ways they still are Disney with this. But
Like it
apparently
was
this
a
will be an
Babylon
actual
B-ish
movie.
type of thing.
Now I will say Brett Cooper, she has acted before. I think she was on different TV shows and whatnot. So
She absolutely has the
yes.
look spot on. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that. But I think one of the things that people were thinking, okay, this can't be, because it's very clear that the costume that she's wearing, it was just something they threw together. It's not like it's already well into production and this is the final costume that they're going to use on her. They're just they're doing their due diligence as far as marketing goes. They've got to, if we're going to do this thing, we're not going to have it done next week or by the time this other one goes live. So let's at least get a teaser trailer out there, and it's thrown together. So it does come off like a Saturday Night Live bit, maybe. But this is legit, and it has the potential to be really good. There's been a couple movies that have come out of Daily Wire. The Gina Carano, Terror on the Prairie, for example. Is it great? No, but it's good.
No, but to be fair, these movies aren't really being made to push a political message. They're just trying to make movies. And I'm assuming this one also won't be that. I don't, like I said, we'll see. It's just it's
a little opportunistic, but you know what? That's business for you, baby.
It was funny though. Paulie was trying to get opinions because he didn't know what to say to this, so he was waiting for the chat. And my comment was, "Are they going to cast Gina Carano as the evil queen?"
That would be hysterical.
Well, here's the ironic thing. Back many years
ago.
You
say that. They haven't said yet. That could happen.
Back many years ago, I used to watch Bob Chipman. It was before he went nuts. He's the one that did the Big Picture or whatever, but he did a review of Haywire, and I agreed with him at the time with Gina Carano, who was the star of that movie. He's saying this is your Wonder Woman right here. She does her own stunts. She's athletic. She could have played Wonder Woman. And then I was thinking, well, they're casting the actual actress playing Wonder Woman in the Disney one. They could cast someone who should have been.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
It's just weird. So I don't know.
I'm watching the chat here, and I do think it's funny. Samuel Proctor said, I want to see Ben Shapiro play the Magic Mirror. The Babylon Bee did a meme. Ben Shapiro to play all 7 dwarfs.
Yes. That's funny. I don't know. The thing with Snow White, though, they made such a big deal out of Rachel Ziegler's cast. Actually, no, they didn't. It wasn't the media. It was she herself was bringing it up when she was first cast.
Yeah.
She's the one that threw the first punch on this. I brought this up incessantly. Mm-hmm. I mean, fairy tales, I'm a little looser on. Like, you had Kristen Cruick playing Snow White in one version of the story. I don't know. It's different, though, with something like Little Mermaid, because that was Hans Christian Andersen. That was actually a written story. That wasn't something passed down through folklore. But I don't know. It's just... Remember when things used to be simple?
Yeah, I know.
And you could just go and watch a movie and be entertained and not have to worry about all of this stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
I don't know. So what's your opinion?
I think it's going to be great. I think it's awesome. I think there's always value to, especially with these public domain properties, right? Nobody owns Snow White. Disney only owns their own brand of Snow White. And so, yeah,
anyone can do a Snow White movie. I'm assuming Little Mermaid is also public domain, even though it had an author. Yes,
absolutely. In fact, all of these stories got the Shelley Duvall treatment back during the Showtime era of fairy tale theater.
I remember that. I remember fairy tale theater.
And they tried to be a little bit closer to the actual, tales that they were telling, and I'm guessing that's probably at least partly what Daily Wire is going to be doing here. And if they decide to zhuzh it up a little bit, make Gina Carano the Wicked Queen, and make her some sort of I don't know, warrior queen in black armor or something, fine. Yeah, I can see that. I can
see the hunter saying, I didn't kill her, and her just kill. Actually, no, I think the queen does kill him herself in the book, doesn't she? So, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, I
All right.
don't know,
I don't know who they're going to cast.
it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. And again, this is why
Someone was saying Candace Owens, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I am very much in favor of this this parallel economy. Whether it's Comicsgate, whether it's independent creators, creating their own stuff, Island in the Stars, Tom Conkle and whatnot, and when Gillette threw themselves down the Bud Light corridor. The Daily Wire stepped up and started Jeremy's Razors.
No, that was because Harry's Razors was remember Harry's Razors, they were a sponsor, and then people said you can't be supporting the Daily Wire, they're bad people, we're
Yeah,
we're gonna boycott you, and
but from a marketing standpoint, both things came into play. Yes, it was directly
people
because
started
of
going with
Harry's.
Harry's Razors because
In fact, if you
the
go
Gillette
to
thing.
www.ihateharrys.com, it'll take you to Jeremy's
Razors. I got you.
And that's how I started subscribing to Jeremy's Razors, because I had been thinking about, because I'm lazy and I'd rather just have razors sent to me on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with how does the commercial go? Not that I love you, but I don't specifically hate you. And I'm like, that's great marketing. I love that, and the slogan behind it is, why do you keep giving your money to people that hate you?
Exactly.
And that's exactly why I like Jeremy's Razors. And because are they better than any other razors? Probably not. They're definitely better than the crap that I buy at the grocery store. But are they better than other premium razors that you get from other companies? I don't know. I haven't tried them. That's not really the reason I'm getting them. They're good.
Oh, I remember the flamethrower. Yes.
That is a great commercial. It really is. I'm sure it's still out there. Go check it out. But yeah, I'll definitely be checking this out. I will pick it up on DVD. I'm probably not even going to bother with the 4K Snow White at this point. I'm just going to get the Snow White and the Wicked Queen.
Yeah. Well, I already own Snow White because that was an interesting. That was back when Disney was still healthy. That was a big deal when Snow White came to DVD, because I think it was one of their first times they took one of their classic movies and kind of gave it the, pun intended, royal treatment.
Yeah,
like it had a lot of cool special features on it. It was a premium disc set. And it's funny. I remember the magazines were reviewing the special edition of that, and the special edition of Akira came out at the same time, which was a very famous Japanese animated movie, which of course was very violent and dark versus Snow White. So
yeah,
they were thinking these are both pioneering movies in animation, though we think Walt would have balked at Akira, but they both came out around the same time. But it was interesting. Anyway, fans think South Park's upcoming episode roasts Rachel Ziegler's Snow White.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
It's kind of funny. I need to see this. Yeah. And of course, PC, we'll get into it in a second. I don't keep up with South Park as much as I probably should, but I may have to look for this episode. Announcing the project to staff today, the Daily. Oh, no. What am I doing? Oh, my goodness.
What?
Hold on.
You got the wrong article?
No, that's why we have links. Let me go directly to it. I'm not on fire today. Okay.
This is why we call you Aged Boomer.
I've had a week. I think you've had a week too.
I have.
We both have.
Yeah.
Just trying to get everything done. And it's just, okay, here we go. South Park dropped a promo for its upcoming special, joining the Panderverse last week, and some fans think it's roasting Disney's upcoming Snow White starring Rachel Ziegler. Even before the resurfaced interview of Rachel Ziegler did the rounds online, Disney faced heavy criticism for casting the star, who is of Colombian Polish descent, for the titular role of its upcoming Snow White live-action movie. This is the first time we've seen backlash to Disney's casting decisions. A similar situation followed with Halle Bailey. Was taken on as Ariel in the Little Mermaid live-action remake. Never one to shy away from controversial topics, South Park appears as if it may just cover this topic in its upcoming Paramount Plus special, Joining the Panderverse. In a clip shared last week, South Park characters Cartman, Stan, Butters, and Kenny have been swapped out for adult women of color.
Yeah.
Kyle is the only one who hasn't been changed, says, how does this even make any sense? To which PC Principal responds, it makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you.
Exactly.
PC, do you know the character of PC Principal in South Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was interested years ago. He's like a frat bro, but he's all into the political correct stuff, and he gets
Right.
violent. Like if you don't accept the stuff, he doesn't care. He'll just start attacking.
Right.
Anyway, as well as the contents of the promo, the title of the episode, Joining the Panderverse, appears to be a satirical take on Hollywood's studios pandering to fans with its casting choices. Chances are Trey Parker, Matt Stone are taking aim at the mishandling of inclusive casting rather than inclusive casting itself. This is what we've been talking about for a while.
Right.
Although we're going to have to wait until the episode releases on October 27th to find out for sure. Until then, some fans have believed the beloved animated adult cartoon is taking shots at Disney, including Rachel Ziegler's Snow White controversy. Taking to X Twitter, one wrote, "Someone said that the new South Park special must have been created when Matt and Trey heard about the Little Mermaid and Snow White remake drama, and my brain went, oh, because now this makes total sense." Another said, "OMG, this will be amazing at South Park, will destroy woke Hollywood just like they destroyed at Harry and Meghan Jealousy Tour. I can't wait for the at Rachel Ziegler segment." And on the other side of the debate, one person wrote, "Don't see why it needs to be made fun of since there's objectively nothing wrong with it." But it's likely South Park will deal with the situation a different way to how some might assume. As said by as Sports Kita, it highlights superficial one-dimensional outcomes when diversity serves as a checkbox, not as an integral part of storytelling.
Right.
The episode also mercilessly mocks this casting. While mockery doesn't target Rachel Ziegler personally, it critiques Disney's approach to diversity. The show implies that Disney cares more about how diversity looks than about crafting a rich layered story. Yeah, I think that's spot on. That's what we've been complaining about.
Yeah.
So here we go.
And yeah, interestingly, and I'm sharing a tab that shows the picture of the two of the four swapped characters for this. I guess it's a season or it's a mini series or
let me add the image.
Yeah.
Do that.
And you might want get rid of me there. And WDW Pro brought up a great point. He thinks they're not just lampooning like Little Mermaid and Off-White. If you look at the Kenny character on the right, something kind of she looks a little familiar to fans of Ahsoka. I mean, she looks just like she could be
Sabine.
When you consider that the role of Kenny is getting killed off all the time and coming back, that sounds a lot like Sabine getting stabbed with the lightsaber and coming back.
That is, they're very current with their. They tend to make these things. I don't want to say on the fly, but they're very current when they mock.
I would be real surprised if that doesn't. That's not me. That's WDW Pro, but I got to give the kudos because I didn't think of that, but I see it now that he says it. That makes perfect sense. So, yeah. So here's your new South Park. These guys are kind of brilliant. I don't enjoy them that much. I don't really watch the show, but I like the spirit of what they do.
Sometimes they hit the nail on the head. That's what I'll say for Matt Parker and Trey Stone. For Marjorie Taylor Greene as the Wicked Queen. She rocked that. Oh my goodness. Right. There's also a Snow White graphic novel being made by Jonathan Pegu. That looks great. Yeah, is that being crowdfunded? I have to look into that. So here we go. Yeah, so I'll keep an eye out for that South Park episode. I might have to check it out.
Yep.
It's funny when they did, I think on South Park, they did something where it was in the future and they were all adults. And I think Cartman becomes a rabbi, which is, of course, a joke because of all his anti-Jewish things he would say on the show. But that's just, DC Comics desperate. Oh, here we go, DC. No.
Yeah, I'm going to have a bit of a rant to go on here. Absolutely.
Zaslav, get control of what you own. I do not understand why this is still going on. It's not even the fact that they're doing this. It's how they treat, how they attack the potential customer base too.
Yep.
Well, sales for the upcoming Alan Scott Green Lantern must not be all that good, as the writer took to social media to beg fans to buy the comic book. The comic features another retcon of Alan Scott, where he never wanted to join the Justice Society of America and is blackmailed by the head of the FBI into suiting up for the team. So apparently, Alan Scott was never a superhero. And speaking of suiting up, the comic sees the head of the FBI blackmail Green Lantern Alan Scott with gay photos telling him that he looks forward to seeing him again in his combat boots. Seriously. So following the news getting out, writer DC Comics Tim Sheridan has taken to Twitter to plead with fans to buy the book where Comicsgate is mentioned. What does Tim Sheridan say? Getting back to what Tim Sheridan has to say, he begs fans to join the Corps via Bounty in the Comics. I'm here to ask you a favor. The book comes out next Tuesday, but already the haters and the queer phobes are out in force doing everything they can to see that this book tanks. They make excuses, but the truth is they just don't like that. Like there is a queer hero in the upper ranks of the DCU. The only way we can shut these people down is to make this book an undeniable success, he said. The only way to prove to all the big publishers that there is a huge market for authentic stories about LGBTQIA plus characters and that these stories are for everyone is to buy the heck out of the book like this. I'm asking if you have the means, buy them up, buy extras to get people you really think you think really need to read it. Okay. So as not to look like he is taking advantage, Sheridan also said that any money the book gets will be donated to the Elton John AIDS Foundation. I'm asking you to join the Corps, he begged. If you care about truth and justice, about shining a light in the darkness, if you think comics are and should continue to be for everyone, or if you just want to force these Comicsgate trolls back under the bridge they crawled out from, please support our book and send a message that the bullying and the lies and the hate have to stop. Everyone deserves to see themselves in comics. Everyone needs allies. And if you're an ally, now is the time to step up. We outnumber them. So let's pull our power, vote with our wallets, and beat these assholes. That's what he says. That's his word, not mine.
Yeah.
Sheridan continued, add as many of these 4 variant covers for Alan Scott, the Green Lantern, to your pull list today. Pick them up in store next week, Tuesday the 24th. Thank you so much. Which store are they talking about? The comic shops? Which store is he talking about? The comic shops are going out of business? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Update. When I questioned Tim Sheridan on Twitter why he has to change everything about Green Lantern Alan Scott and not create new characters, Sheridan blocked me. Yeah, because that's what he's doing.
Exactly.
This was a heterosexual character.
You
he had
sent
a wife.
this to me. I went there to check it out, and I was already blocked. I have never been to this guy's page. I've never said boo to him. I'm already blocked. Someone pointed out it's probably a blockchain.
Could I be blocked?
Everybody.
I should look and see if I'm blocked.
Yeah, they block everybody that follows.
Like somebody else. Okay, that they don't like. So yeah. All right, I understand.
And it's like that's a brilliant marketing tactic. You know, I even saw someone share out to DC Comics, hey, I would love to buy your comic, but this is how Tim Sheridan treats your potential buyers. I've been a Green Lantern fan for 30 plus years. I'm done. Bye.
I have a question. Was the original Green Lantern part of a Corps?
Mm-mm.
So
no,
why is he saying join the Corps? This has nothing to do with that Green Lantern Corps. He's a different character.
Yep.
He's not part of the Green Lantern Corps.
Never was. Yeah.
In fact, I think it's more of a magical element for where he gets his powers from, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
And later on, they tried to retcon it and say that the stone that he used was somehow related to the power of the lantern battery or whatever. But it's really hard to do because you're right. That is supposed to be magical as opposed to some sort of future technology that the Owens have. Remember? Right.
Okay. I see. I remember when Black Lives Matter said move the allies to the front. That's a little terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. That's just that tells you everything you need to know about these kinds of people.
Yeah, it's just stay away.
It really is. It's not, and this is
they lost all credibility.
Don't believe. Summer. Don't buy the idea that this is about inclusion and whatnot. This is the exact opposite. This is tokenism. This is not wanting to bother to take the time to tell the story about and create a character that really is, of this persuasion, so that we can show that, these people, they love just like everyone else. They love differently, whatever. You make a new character and make people care about them. No, what you do is you just swap it out. It's that whole, and I know this is Marvel and not DC, but it's that whole Victoria Alonso concept. Oh, we can just swap out the character with whatever we want. We can make him a woman. We can make him gay. We can do whatever. It's all the same. You just give the powers to somebody else. And when you do that, there is no agency for these characters. And you say, well, they're fictional characters. They don't have agency. Then you are not telling stories correctly. Because for people to care about characters, they must be treated as though they are real. Just like when Richard Donner told the story of Superman, his motto was verisimilitude.
Has there been a gay Green Lantern? Because there's so many Green Lanterns. Have they made a gay Green Lantern?
If there hasn't been, there absolutely could be. Hell, they could very easily have an alien gay Green Lantern who is from a non-gendered race, if they wanted to.
Right.
They could do anything. And yes, we've already had, just here on Earth, this sector of space, we've had, well, Alan Scott was not, from the Lantern Corps, but, whatever. You had Hal Jordan, you had Jon Stewart, you had Kyle Rayner. So we had white, black, and I think half Asian was yeah. And they could do, and they've had female Green Lanterns, although I don't think from Earth, but Kat Matai and who's that blonde one that looks a little bit like Tinkerbell.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So they've had female Green Lanterns, and literally you could do anything. You could create a new Green Lantern character and make people just love that character and give them their own title. No, they've got to, because they don't know how to create. They only know how to warp and destroy.
I want to say, too, I think this is sort of an attack on the Justice Society comics and all that from there, because this was a thing in the 40s when World War II was going on. You did have this organization called the Justice Society. I think they were formed to fight the Axis powers, correct? And,
exactly. So again, you have your greatest generation being torn down. We've got to find a way to destroy it, just like they want.
They weren't as great as you think. They did.
Yeah. Just like Disney saying we hate our own legacy Disney properties. This is DC saying we hate our own legacy Disney.
And where is Zaslav on all of this? I don't understand. He's trying to sell.
Honestly, I think he's
that's just up for a new DC universe, and we have this guy out on social media attacking anybody and blocking people that haven't even. This is ridiculous. And so this is time for you to step up and buy my comic book. And it screams his desperation.
For somebody who came out in an earnings call and said that he wanted to align the Comics and the all the platforms, the games, the movies, the cartoons.
Good. When you align, is this Green Lantern who was a heterosexual character who had a wife? There was even a story, I think, where he had to go into hell to get his wife back. And so they did all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Is this character now gay? Has always been gay, and we didn't know about it. I don't understand this. I'd like to ask. He won't answer this question. He wouldn't even take the call, but he has to get this under control, because I'm sorry. I like movies and TV shows and whatnot with these characters, but the comics are the foundation for all of this, and it is rotting away, if it's not already rotted away completely over there over at DC. And I don't understand why it still persists. I mean, I can't imagine these people are making a ton of money doing this stuff. It's probably more about activism.
No, in fact, what I did was I couldn't share anything with this Tim Dingbat. Yeah. So I took I shared out my what's her name? That video.
The Don't Like It, Don't Buy It. Kelly Sue
you don't like. Yeah, Kelly Sue DeConnick. I put out my Kelly Sue DeConnick. I said somebody should share this with Disney and Tim, because they really need to, because what is my point? It's if you don't like my comics, don't buy my book. 2 years later, well, the industry's contracting and we're all really concerned. Yeah, you think, dumbass? I
Not
wonder
only
why.
people, I think Zaslav and the Hollywood executive, they don't understand that there were people whose main consumption of superheroes was just buying the comics and reading the comics. It wasn't always about the movies and the cartoon. Was that they were comic book readers, and that's what they did. And you chased them all away, and for what? You used to hire professional artists and professional writers for these things, and now it's just this nonsense. And I almost want to say, you were saying don't like it, don't buy it. It's like I feel like this guy's saying don't like it, buy it anyway, you queerphobe. I mean,
yeah.
They're not. Well, he's not threatening yet, but he's getting forceful.
It is very clearly a desperate move, right?
Next step is they're going to start attacking us if you don't buy the comic. Don't buy the comic.
And he's also low key saying, "I know this isn't good enough to be successful on its own, so I need you to buy multiple copies."
I don't know what planet he's living on. I don't get it, and it's just and I'm sorry, what he's doing is nothing new. They've been changing the sexuality of DC characters for years now.
Yeah, and the joke is that now in
Batwoman, Jonathan Kent, Superman's son, I could name a few. I think
in these worlds,
Tim Drake,
everybody is gay, and the heterosexuals are the oppressed minority at this point.
I don't understand this, but if we don't like, we don't have to spend any money, especially now when money is hard to keep in your wallet. I know. Right. Well, that's true, because
I would much sooner get the next installment of ISOM than this bullshit.
I'm sure Ripa's getting caught up in this as well, because it's just I'm expecting Ethan Van Sciver to talk about this too, because of course Green Lantern's dear to his heart, as he wrote for the Green Lantern comics years back. So it's just ridiculous. I have no idea how people like this are still under the employment, or still able to write these comics. And they need to clean house over their DC. They don't want to do it for whatever reason. I know you've had the argument that the IP has to stay, that they still have to keep the IP in print to keep the license to it, and that's one of the reasons. But this IP is going to be worthless at some point, if it isn't already now.
And the other problem that I expressed is, if they do sell it off, what happens to all the legacy stuff? Everything that was, all the movies, all the comics, all the stories and whatnot that were released under Warner Brothers. What happens to the rights to those?
No, I would assume if they're selling off, it's a package deal. You get everything. You get everything that Warner Brothers had.
Does that mean they get the rights to the Christopher Reeve Superman too?
It would have
That's going to be a huge, check.
Excuse me. I don't care. I am buying DC. Okay, unless they're only selling, you have the rights to now make. Is it like with Blade, how Disney can make a Blade TV series, but they don't have the rights to the New Line movies? Yeah, I don't know. I would think Warner Brothers would want to sell the whole shebang. What are they doing with the legacy stuff anyway?
Yeah.
And thank you very much,
because it has
a copy of the Batman on Blu-ray without the digital copy. Anyway, I don't want to.
It has no value without the legacy stuff. So you're right about that. So
just ridiculous.
I don't know, man. But,
anyway, public domain. Oh, many of these characters should have entered public domain a while ago. The original Green Lantern, where he had the Green Lantern. I'm sorry. Why is this still even? They will not let go of anything.
You might have just hit on something there, Boomer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're doing it. They can make the argument, well, this isn't the same character. That character wasn't gay. This character's gay. That's all different.
It would be funny. No, they'll never do it because you have to sell it as a expanded universe. But it'd be funny if DC became like Marvel used to be, and they're selling Superman to one studio, Batman to another.
Yeah,
but
right.
It's just ridiculous. They don't know what they're doing over there. And as I've suspected, maybe Zaslav is just figuring the writings on the wall. I did want to share actually, this is a pretty good video that Thinking Critical did on this whole subject.
Oh,
yeah. Check it out sometime. It's he's that's why I first got attention to this. So I did want to give him a shout out. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, Now we move on to gaming, unless you have anything left to say about
No.
Alan Scott. Are you a fan
No.
of the Alan Scott Green Lantern?
I didn't have a great deal of experience with the Justice Society in general outside of their crossovers with the Justice League back in the Silver Age, but I like the character just fine.
I told you my idea for what I would do with rebooting the DCU. I was going to do the two timelines. I was going to do the modern timeline and the
Yeah.
WW2 timeline, and
Right.
we would have had the Justice League, and Wonder Woman was going to be center of all that because But we would have had characters. You probably would have had the Alan Scott Green Lantern there and a couple others, and I didn't want to spoil it, but it was all going to converge at some point with the heroes from the modern era and the heroes from the past era having to get together. And then I would eventually bring Wonder Woman into the present. That was my idea. But
I like that idea.
But whatever. It's not going to happen. I don't know what the plan is for this new DCU. I think they're throwing stuff at the wall again, seeing what sticks, and they can't do that. They need to have a plan. And to be fair, James Gunn might have had a plan, and then Zaslav saying, put a bunch of other characters in here.
Yeah. So now it's just window dressing, and we'll get everything up there. And yeah, it's probably just to get them zhuzhed up so we can sell them.
All right. Star Wars Heritage Pack is getting a physical release, includes 7 games. Any Nintendo Switch owners in the chat? I'm hearing crickets.
I mean, remember, they're on a 10-second delay, so they haven't even heard you.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, are there any Nintendo Switch owners that you say there? Then do I have a deal for you if you're a fan of older Star Wars games? No one cares. Okay, I thought this was interesting.
Narp.
Don't you like older Star Wars games from prior to Disney buying out? Maybe this might have interest.
Wants a Switch.
What?
Samuel Proctor said he wants a Switch.
Okay. By the time you get one, the Switch 2 will be out probably. I don't know. I'm joking.
Probably.
Aspyr and Lucasfilm Games are releasing a physical version of the Star Wars Heritage Pack 2023 in North America, which includes 7 classic Star Wars titles from over the years. The physical version will launch on the 8th of December, costs $59.99. That's a standard price for a normal release game. Pre-orders are up at all major retailers, including Amazon and Target. This is a re-release of the Star Wars Heritage Pack 2023, which launched on a North American eShop earlier this year. So you can still buy the Heritage Pack digitally, but now you can get it physically, which I think is kind of interesting. There are 7 titles you'll be getting if you pick this up. Note that 5 are on the cartridge, while the Knights of the Old Republic games will need to be downloaded. Well, I didn't read that fine print. That kind of sucks. Actually, yeah. I wouldn't even care if it came with a downloaded code, but I know they're going to make me. You have to have the cartridge inserted to play this game that's not on the cartridge. So maybe this isn't so good. But anyway, $59.99, you get Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, Star Wars: Republic Commando, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords. I don't know how I missed that about the Knights of the Old Republic games. Still need to be downloaded. What surprised us most is the price point, $59.99 for 7 games, isn't bad at all. It's a good price. But buying them physically is actually cheaper than grabbing them off the eShop, where it costs $79.99. Okay, so you get it for $20 cheaper if you buy the physical release.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I don't know. You get a lot of games for your buck. I know a lot of Knights of the Old Republic fans probably in the chat, right? That was released on Xbox and to get a Switch release later on. The Star Wars Jedi Knight games are follow-ups to the Dark Forces games. They came out much later, though. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, that was a Nintendo 64 game that I had back in the day. I remember I bought it before the Phantom Menace came out, and they're like, oh, good thing you're buying it now. The game's not employed. This thing's going to sell out. It's going to be the big hit. And I even bought the guidebook for it. He sold me in the guidebook. That thing, like 2 years later, was in the $10 pile.
Oh,
it's not a bad game. I mean, for something that was released as a movie tie-in, it's not bad. It's a racing game where you're doing the pod racing on, against the, remember how Anakin did the whole pod racing thing on Tatooine? It's all based around that,
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. Star Wars Republic Commando, I've never played it. I think it takes place during the Clone Wars, and it's like a first-person shooter. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. This is interesting. This was George Lucas's idea of how to bridge the gap between the prequels and the sequel trilogy. It was going to be about a character named Starkiller,
Mm-hmm.
who I think was going to be Darth Vader's apprentice. Because before Darth Vader knew about Luke, he was already trying to figure out a way to take on the Emperor and kill the Emperor. So I think he kills a family of Force users, but then he finds a child, so he decides to take the child and raise him up to, you know, be his apprentice, basically. You know how with the Sith, there's always a master and an apprentice. So, but it was like done in secret of the Emperor. So it's about this character. I think you have the choice of going to the light side or the dark side at the end. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's based on the Wii version of the game, which I find very puzzling because there were HD versions of this game released on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and there were also versions released for all the other consoles at the time. So one of these weird games that came out on everything was out on PlayStation 2, and it came out on the Wii as well. And apparently, this is a remastered version of the Wii version, which came with this weird bonus fighting game thing where you could play as Luke Skywalker or the characters from this game and other things, and you could have like a one-on-one fighting with lightsabers or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's $59.99 if you were on the fence about buying these retro Star Wars games, which aren't retro in the way Troy Pacelli understands retro.
Yeah.
But they're
Right.
from the 6th and 7th generation consoles. You can get this for your Nintendo Switch, and it's only $60, the price of a new game, and you get, what is that, 7 games, including both Knights of the Old Republic games, which are download only. They should just give me the code. I don't have to put the cartridge in then if they're download only. But anyway. Okay, but there we go. We excited? You excited?
Yeah, I
Anyone in
mean,
the chat excited? Anybody comment on this?
I'm not sure if I'm actually going to go out of my way to get it myself, but
Well, it's not on PC, dude. You could probably get these games on PC. Maybe it is
Oh.
on PC. Maybe it's available digitally on PC through the Steam store. What? No
Yeah.
Star Wars Starfighter? No, they didn't include that one. That's another one from that area. Star Wars Attack of the Clones game. Yeah, those are of the same era that I think the Republic Commando. They must have decided not to port those to newer systems. I think these are all available on PlayStation 4. I don't know why they don't have a PlayStation 4 version of this. Funnily enough, they created Galen Merrick at the same time that Ahsoka was created. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. If you get those games for the Switch, I wouldn't see the difference. I grew up on the Wii version. Yeah, well, it's a remastered version of the Wii version, which I didn't get the Wii version because you can only play it with the waggle controls, and I wasn't going there. I have a lot of problems with the Wii. I'll do a rant about it someday. You remember the Wii?
Yeah. Well,
You're going to talk positive because the bowling was good. Yeah, the bowling was good.
I played the bowling and the golf. Yeah.
The few rail shooters that came out were actually rather good too. You know what a rail shooter is? You go into an arcade and they have guns on fixed to the machine.
Oh, yeah. I never played that, but I probably would have really
The
enjoyed it.
Nintendo Wiimote lent itself very well to that style of game because it was simpler and you could actually use the Wii like a wireless mouse. And they made a House of the Dead game for the Wii, which was very politically incorrect, but was a lot of fun. It got into the Guinness Book of World Records for the most amount of times that the F-bomb was used in the video game was in House of the Dead Overkill. It was based on the Grindhouse movie. You can tell it was inspired by those Grindhouse movies that Tarantino and Rodriguez put out. The villain was a man named PaPa Caesar, who reminded me a little bit. I don't know who's the character I'm thinking of. Like, he had a voice like Ricardo Montalban, in the game. I guess he was the scientist creating the mutants or the zombies or whatever they were in the game. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was funny. And I think the one detective that was helping you that you could play as Isaac Washington, you could tell he was based on Samuel Jackson because he was just cussing up a storm in that game. But anyway, I'm going off. Let's go to the top story of the night, which I consider to be the top story of the night. I missed this during the week. I guess you sent it to me.
Oh yeah.
Wii was my childhood console. There were some good games on it. Yeah, let's move on to veteran voice actress learns she's fired on social media after supporting Israel bashing Hamas terrorists. Okay. Veteran voice actors from so here we go. Let me go ahead and read from this. This is Tara Strong. Tara Strong is a prolific voiceover actress. She has done a ton of voices. But we'll get into that. Okay, top cartoon voice actress Tara Strong has been let go from her role in the independent animated series Boxtown after she made a series of posts about the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. The actress, who voiced characters on several Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon shows, including the Powerpuff Girls and Rugrats, wrote in one post, still present on her X account, "This is only the beginning. They were smart to start with a country of people love to hate. This is only the beginning." She also liked a post that said Islam is a real, clear, present danger. The rhetoric was slammed as being Islamophobic, though Strong says she is only anti-Hamas, which I do believe her there. She didn't write the other post, she just liked it. But Strong found out that she was fired from social media and claimed she was axed from the show simply for being Jewish. Just found out on Twitter, she wrote on X, referring to the social media platform's former moniker. "This is what happens when you help fans get shows made, I guess. Fired for being Jewish. Glad I helped you get your Kickstarter money. Please lose my email address and pray for my family in Israel and in Gaza, and pray for peace." Yeah, she has family over there,
Right.
in that part of the world. I also wanted to make a point that I like the point she made here, that this was a Kickstarter that was probably helped to raise its funds by saying we're going to have Tara Strong voicing like one of the characters' leads. They made their money, and now they're firing her because they don't like her stance apparently on this. Strong 50 wrote in her statement in response to the show's official account, announcing that the role would be recast. "Hello all. Just wanted to offer a quick update on Boxtown." The account wrote on October 12th, "We will be recasting the role of Bill, previously played by Tara Strong. We'll have more info soon on open auditions. Thank you all for understanding as we reorient and figure out the next steps." The ordeal sparked outrage from fans, some of whom rushed to slam the show for cutting ties with Strong. "I've seen this before," wrote one person who echoed Strong's claims that she was being fired for being Jewish. However, the show responded by sharing a post that said it boasts other Jewish actors and writers on its roster. Later, Strong took aim at critics, blasting her as Islamophobic, writing, "I'm speaking about the terrorist organization Hamas. We should be all against them." Some people aren't, apparently. On Monday, the Boxtown account addressed the decision to cut Strong loose in a statement on social media. The statement was due to a trend among terrorists' recent online activity, including posts that promote controversial messages regarding the peoples of Palestine currently being affected by the ongoing Israeli-Palestine crisis. The statement read in part, "We believe that our public platform gives us a duty to be careful when it comes to hateful messages and misinformation online. This extends to our cast and crew. This was not a difficult decision. Our hearts are with the Palestinian and Israeli children and families being affected by the ongoing conflict. People should be able to live freely without being threatened by constant abuse and terror." Wrote for the best. The post continued. All right.
You bring up a great point or the article brings up a great point in that, it's very likely that this kickstart got, as many as it did because she was a part of it.
Yes.
I wonder what's going to happen when the contributors start saying, if she's not a part of it, I want my money back.
They have investors. We're in a very, I want to say, delicate situation right now, but I need to remind everybody that Israel is an ally of the United States. And I sometimes wonder if some of this younger generation that's talking politics, did everybody forget the war on terror?
Yeah.
You actually had to be, and I didn't necessarily even agree with everything being done in the war on terror, certainly, but you had to be careful back then about how you talked about things. And y'all have embraced this cancel culture. You may find that you're on the receiving end of that cancel culture going forward. I don't think Tara Strong has to worry about anything. Worst case scenario, she gets a job over at the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
They're already starting a kids network. They'd love to have a veteran voice actress that's known for the Powerpuff Girls and Raven and various other superheroes and characters over the years. She will not. She'll bounce back from this. If she is canceled in general, she may. She may not even be affected by this. She may still be getting parts of mainstream things.
Let me just say something. There's another YouTuber out there that likes to go off about not being political in anything you do, and that goes for the right as well as the left, because you'll end up like Gina Carano or this actor or that actor. They're in a conservative ghetto, and it's like, you know what? Sometimes people are less concerned about being big successes and more concerned about their integrity.
Yes.
You
And I
know?
know that's where she's coming from. She has a personal stake in it. Obviously, she is terrified, but as many as we all should be.
Yeah.
The attacks of Israel were horrific. I don't want to get. I don't want to necessarily get bogged down in that on the stream, but you can look at it yourself. It was unwarranted what those terrorists did in
Yeah.
that country to families and children, not
Yeah.
just.
And
So
I don't want to hear any
yeah,
what ifs and
no,
but they, because I'm sorry, you don't justify that by saying they did it first. That
yeah.
doesn't give you the right to do it.
And keep
Sorry.
in mind,
And
I'm
if
not
you think
necessarily.
it does, that says more about you than anything else.
Yeah. So anyway, here we are. And I'm thinking, I don't know. She's being canceled over this, but does that even make any sense with what could really be unfolding in the next few months? I mean, I'm hoping this thing doesn't escalate, but I think let's be honest with you, I don't see how it can at this point. It's
And
going to.
I'm
Mhm.
curious. You would know more than I would what Jesse
Mhm.
just said about. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets hired by Funimation. I don't know much about Funimation. You think there's anything in that?
I don't know because Funimation, let's face facts, they're the ones that kicked Vic Mignogna out, I think. Wasn't that a thing?
Oh,
They had people over there. But no, Funimation is a very big anime distributor, and they do a lot of voice. They have a lot of voice actors under their employ as well. Now, maybe they would hire her. Like I said, maybe they will hire her though. You're right because I don't think she's necessarily canceled. I think she's canceled from this particular project. This doesn't mean
yeah.
she's canceled anything. I'm sorry if you can't condemn what happened happened over there. I don't see anything she said that's really all that controversial. In fact, I think again, I'm sorry, in wars you can't be on the other side. I mean, when World War II happened, you had to be against who we were fighting.
Yeah.
And nobody wants a war, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, Tara Strong is also the voice of Batgirl in the animated series. Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. She was a
Oh,
Powerpuff Girl. She's
yes.
done a lot of things.
She's done a ton of voice acting work. She's also, I think I sent Troy the scene
Yeah.
of her from that National Lampoon Spring Break. Not Senior Trip. That's the name of the
Yeah.
movie. I need to watch that movie. I should start looking into some of these '90s teen comedies
Yeah.
that I miss because they might be a good escape from the everyday, which are not PC. By
Right.
the way, who played the principal in that?
Uh-uh.
I could be wrong. I think it was the actor. Who's the actor that played the deputy that was crying on Twin Peaks? Was he also the actor that played Max Headroom? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
No. That was Matt
Okay,
Fuhrer.
okay, they have a similar look, but yeah, the one who played Max Headroom plays the principal in that movie,
Okay. Yeah.
and Tommy Chong plays the bus driver. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but she was in that, but she did went to go into voice work though. But she's I don't know my personal realms. I think she's a stunning woman though, even today.
Yeah,
So
we
I
were
just
talking about
yeah.
this in the green room. I was saying there's a lot of these actresses that do voice work that are just absolutely beautiful. And it's just a sin that they're not in front of the camera.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when you do voice acting, it doesn't matter what you look like. You could play all different kinds of roles, even like boys and stuff.
and she's very talented. So
Yeah.
she'll bounce on her feet. Like I said,
The
it's going to be more
reality
just.
is, it doesn't matter what gender you are or what color you are when you are playing a voice.
And I'm sorry. Yeah, it's. I think honestly, I think a lot of these people, these younger people, the ones who are all into the cancel culture, I don't think they know what happens in times of war or when things get really
Yeah.
rough. What happens? I think they've been sheltered from all this. I don't know how, but maybe again, maybe the war on terror is winding down when they
Because
had it.
we ended up getting soft, right? We
Yeah,
spent a whole generation saying we can't let this happen again. And we
right.
taught the next generation, and the next generation didn't hold it as important. And they're like, I don't like to talk about this kind of stuff. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm not going to talk to my kids about it. So the kids come along and they're going to just make all the same mistakes again. It's that whole, hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times.
Yeah, so I don't know what the future portends on this. I think she'll bounce back in whatever fashion she sees fit. She's probably made enough money to last her the rest of her life anyway. I mean, I don't know what you get for voice of work. Maybe it's not as much, I think, but she's been so prolific. And like I said, worst case, She could get on the phone with the Daily Wire in a heartbeat. But like I
Now
said,
I'm waiting to hear this company, this box kickstart,
it's some
whatever.
independent production. She was probably
Yeah.
trying to help
Now
them.
I want to hear them put out tweets saying, you gotta make sure you follow and watch and share and support this, because otherwise the evil Zionists win.
I mean, I'm sorry. I've been noticing in recent weeks, and I'm saying there's a lot of anti-Semitism which was under the surface, which at least a lot of anti-Jewish precedent, which I think I was unawares of how prevalent it was. Maybe people in the Jewish community know it more than I do, obviously. But yeah, it just seems that a lot of stuff is bubbling up to the surface. I didn't realize was there, and it's rather disturbing. But like I said, I mean, I'm sorry. You're going to be on the wrong side of this.
We're seeing a lot of people and organizations reveal themselves, right?
Yeah.
Organizations that were supposed to be for whatever the name said they were for, it turns out no, they're actually for killing, the other guy. And they're now being very blatant about it. And we said that's what they were all about, and you said no because their name says there's something good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're saying for you, Troy, I think the next generation just ignored the last generation by paying attention to their phones.
Well, there is that too. You got a good point there. There is a great deal of, I've heard conspiracy theorists call it a psyop. I don't think it's that literal, but people are being affected by social media, and it's controlling their brains. It really is.
History, those that don't know, will keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Discussing. I feel like we're heading back into a Cold War era, and now also War on Terror era again. And it's just it doesn't. I don't know. It's scary times we're living in. But I'll say this: in scary times, wokeness is a luxury, and you can't have it anymore. I'll say that. If there's anything good that will come out of it, not that I want to get into scary times either, but I don't think people are going to have tolerance for a lot of this bullshit we've been dealing with over the last few years. What do you think?
I am losing.
I don't see DEI becoming a thing if there's like another Great Depression, or if we're in like a World War scenario, or whatever conflict this will turn into.
I do feel like we do need the hard times to come on in order to get people to straighten up and fly right. But it might be too late for the United States now. I think now what's going to end up happening is new world powers are going to result, and the U.S. is in its decline now.
It's hard to say with the U.S. We still have. I don't know. It's tricky. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I'll say that. I can't say you're wrong, because I don't know. I look at other countries; they're not necessarily in great shape either. But I feel that we are projecting weakness to the rest of the world right now, and that's not helping the matter. The only good thing about this, we know who stands for what. Yeah, people have exposed themselves, so keep in mind, and trust me, future employers are looking at these people on these college campuses saying certain things. You are being watched, and like I said, I never used to believe in cancel culture. Blah blah. Okay, people can be, but the other side, they don't forgive us when we if we step out.
Yep.
Because people can say stupid things in their lifetime, and then realize, okay, that was dumb or ignorant. I should have said that. But now you canceled over it. So maybe they need a taste of their own medicine.
Well, and that's a big thing. And when you do your civic duty and you go and you cast your votes, pay attention to not just what some politicians said, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. What are they saying right now?
Yes.
Because I'm hearing a lot of things about Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
Well, he's anti-gun, and he's a crazy environmental nut. Is he though?
Where is he now?
At something he said 15 years ago, because he's been really good about saying, you know what? I used to believe this, that, and the other, but I've looked at things and I've changed my opinion on that.
Are you saying that people change their opinions when they get more information? Realize, I didn't think about this. Yes, I know people change over time. They change their political
and that's the thing. It's not enough to just say, okay, well they're on the wrong side. I'm never going to listen to them ever again.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what you want. It's better when somebody on the other side of the aisle that you disagree with says, you know what, I was wrong. Let
Yeah.
me come over to your side because you were right.
Yeah. It's
Guess
not a
what?
crime.
You won the argument.
It's not a
And now
crime.
they're on your
Yeah,
side.
yes. You can be wrong and come back from it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's what we're trying to be.
Right.
You know, it used to
Otherwise,
be
what's the point of debate?
it used to be the part, especially when combating racism, it was about enlightening people and make them to look at their okay, maybe I was wrong thinking this, so they would stop doing things. And now it's like, oh, if you are that way, you're canceled and you'll never be forgiven again, as opposed to it
Yeah.
being trying to reform the person. Do you understand? It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
it's ridiculous. We're not there anymore. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not
let
going to
me.
talk too much about this, but
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Did you have more to say
you
on the
said
Tara
this to
Strong
me. I
situation?
included, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is, but okay, we'll talk
It's
about it.
the latest Martin Scorsese movie. I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it
Okay.
was fun. Maybe
Three and a half hours. Okay.
it's 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And Snarky J, I know you watch her videos sometimes. She did a video
Yeah.
and she said that she had to walk out because it was too long. And she said that she was in a theater where someone was chewing gum behind her the whole time, and she oh
Oh,
no.
yeah.
And it was uncomfortable seats. And she says, "Look, I'm a Latina woman, and I have some extra cushioning down there, if you know what I mean." And still, even that was not enough to keep
Yeah.
my butt from going numb. By 2 hours in, and I'm thinking, you got Hollywood needs to just. I'm not even going to talk about the movie. You can read the article. I'm just going to talk about 3.5 hour running time. I don't have a problem with long movies,
Right.
but if you're doing 3.5 hours, can you give the people in the audience an intermission like they used to in the
I was
past?
gonna say movies used to do that if they were over a certain amount of time. There'd be an
Do
intermission.
an intermission. I don't understand this. People can't sit for 3.5 hours. You know, the European ideal European cut, it's different than America. American movies typically would hit the 2 hour mark, and the European movies with the 90-minute mark. Why? Because 90 minute is your attention span. It starts to waver, at least it used to when it was measured. I don't know what it is now. It's probably 5 minutes, but back in the 70s, it was 90 minutes, and then you
Well,
start to wander a
I
bit.
would
Now,
say this. I could see a 3.5 hour movie if it's interesting and it holds your attention.
and
The
in
problem
defense,
is,
you go ahead.
I was going to say, the problem is your attention span might be significantly longer than the size of your bladder, especially if you bought the big
That's
gulp when
That's
you
the
went in.
problem. And it goes in here telling you what scene, I don't want to spoil it, but what scene to go when you have to use the restroom, when it's best to leave, which I think is a little ridiculous. Just give people an intermission. Now I will
Now, the fact is that if you keep in mind that we do live in an era where now this is going to end up coming out on DVD and whatnot, you're going to have the opportunity to watch it in your own home and hit pause and
watch it
then
at home.
go whenever you need to. I do that all the time with YouTube videos.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Because sometimes these streams go on for hours. Just pause and
Well,
or resume
the
back.
best video that I saw on YouTube this year,
Yeah.
I've been promoting
Oh,
it. You guys have heard me
retro
talk about it.
blasting. Yes.
Retro Blasting did 4 hours talking about the Dial of Destiny. And guess what? It's all broken down into chapters. You can watch it a little bit at a time. You don't have to watch the whole thing. I actually did watch the whole thing when it aired originally. And I did have to get up and go to the bathroom a couple times during it, but I hosted the pre and the post show with Michael on his Patreon, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I told him, I said I'm in for the whole day. I arranged my whole Sunday around it. And that's actually why he invited me on to co-host with him, because he's like, well, if you're gonna be watching it anyway, I need a co-host. But just
Last
go to the
call.
bathroom with your
Earbuds
earbuds
on.
in.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
funny.
true. I hadn't thought about that.
Oh.
I had some problems with the cordless earbuds, but I guess I could do that.
I don't know. I don't want to sit on the John doing my business list. I don't know. That sounds tricky. But
Well,
anyway,
but the fact is, depending on how far your bathroom is from where the TV is, you can still hear it.
I'll just listen to it. That's right.
Yeah, over
People
the air.
watch YouTube on their TV. But what was I going to say though? No, in defense of Martin Scorsese, I will say this. I remember Wolf of Wall Street came out a number of years back, and I'm like, how long in this movie? Over 3 hours? I don't know. And it didn't feel like 3 hours. I was
Oh no,
riveted
yeah.
every step of the way. That's a great movie, Wolf of Wall Street. Have you seen it?
Uh,
There are some disgusting characters in that movie. You know what I found interesting? He's done movie about gangsters, right? This is about white collar gangsters, white collar crime. which I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting. He did a movie like about Wall Street scammers. Do you
Yeah.
understand? As opposed to it being like like the Italian mafia, which I thought was, and it was great, and it was a great movie and a lot of fun. Speaking of movies, I think our final story of the night, correct?
Um. Oh,
Or
are
do
we
we have
done with the
more?
killers of the flowers
Unless you
of
want to
the
talk more about it.
Korea?
I mean, I know the book.
We
It's
could go on for 3.5 hours about it if you want to.
no, it's fine. I mean, it should be a good story. It's about the one of the first FBI cases where they had to solve murders because of basically it's actually an interesting story. It's actually an interesting real story. The Osage Indians were given this crappy land to have the reservation on, right? But then
Hmm.
guess what was on the land?
Oil.
Lots of oil.
Yeah.
And they got rich, and then of course some of the locals were not liking that, and some of these people ended up dying, and people were trying to grab, and it was all finally the FBI had to get involved in the whole matter, and it's a true story. You should, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's worth checking
I'll
out.
check
Yeah.
it out.
British
I'll,
horror label Amicus resurrects with anthology film In the Grip of Terror. I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
no. I was just gonna say I'll probably wait until it comes to home video, and so I can hit pause.
Just do that. You can get up and use the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. One of the things I liked about the Lord of the Rings extended editions when they came out,
Hmm.
the discs were split between discs. The one half of the movie and the other half was on the second disc. So I would just watch like the first disc one night and
Yeah.
then jump into the second disc the next night. And you would
Yeah.
basically just treat it like 6 movies instead of
Right.
3 because it was so long. Yeah. British horror label Amicus resurrects with anthology film In the Grip of Terror. This is an old article from months ago. I wasn't aware this was happening. Are you a fan of Amicus movies? I don't know if you're familiar with these.
I didn't even know about them till you sent me this article.
You may have seen them on occasion and probably mistake them for a Hammer movie. They were a rival of Hammer Studios, but oddly enough, they would borrow a lot of the same actors that Hammer used. So you would see Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee in them. And their famous thing were doing these anthology horror movies where you would have like a bunch of where you'd have like different stories, like a lot of Robert Bloch stories. You know, the guy that wrote Psycho, he also wrote a lot of short stories. They did movies where um, it was just a bunch of Robert Bloch stories and like 4 in a row, and he wrote the screenplays for them too. But it was neat. It's sort of like Tales from the Crypt. In fact, Amicus made a Tales from the Crypt movie back in the '70s, early '70s. Which is odd because it takes place in England because it's all British actors. So it's weird because I think of Tales from the Crypt, I think of Americana, very American. But
right.
they set the stories in English because that was in England where that's where they filmed. But they still turned out well, and it's they're fun little horror movies to watch if you ever get a chance to catch them. Like one of my favorites is The House That Dripped Blood. Come on,
Yes.
with that title, and
Yeah.
Ingrid Pitt's in that.
Oh, okay.
With John Pertwee.
See, it's entirely possible then that I've seen
You probably
some
seen
of
these movies and thought it was a Hammer.
They were Hammer, yeah.
Because
exactly.
they're similar. They would usually take place in modern times. A lot of Hammer movies took place in like past,
period,
but these
yeah.
period pieces. But they had a similar feel to Hammer. Like I said, they were like a lower budget version of Hammer movies. And House of Drip Blood was great. It had this is going to turn into a good old days. I'll stop. But
Yeah.
you know who else was in the segment with Ingrid Pitt was John Pertwee from Doctor Who. And apparently, Ingrid Pitt was cast in this movie and convinced the producers to cast John Pertwee because she liked working with him so much on an episode of Doctor Who she was on, like in the early '70s. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And it's a funny little segment where he goes into an antique store and he needs a vampire cape because he's playing a vampire. The trouble is the cape is cursed and it might actually turn the owner into a vampire over time. You know, and that was because they could actually belong to an actual vampire. So it was a neat little segment. And
what I find interesting is, finding out about this studio, Amicus, it's Latin for friend.
For what?
It literally means friend. So, like, Amicus Curiae, friend of the court.
Interesting.
So I saw that. I was like, wow, that's, I'd never heard of that before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed because apparently it's up and running again and they're going to make a new anthology movie. And I'm very curious. Let me read this article. Okay. Iconic British horror label Amicus Productions is resurrecting with anthology film In the Grip of Terror. Based in Shepperton Studios, Amicus was founded by American producers and screenwriters Milton Subotsky and Max Rosenberg and was active between 1962 and 1977. That's interesting that it had American producers. People don't realize this, but Doctor Who originally had an American producer, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
They did the TV movie about it, where I think I forgot, Ryan Cox played him, I think. Yeah, but okay. Amicus was founded. Okay, it was acted. The outfit was mainly known for their portmanteau or anthology films, featuring 4 or 5 horror shorts each, including Doctor Terror's House of Horrors, Torture Garden, The House That Dripped Blood, Tales from the Crypt, Asylum, Vault of Horror, and From Beyond the Grave.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen that. But David Warner was in that one, From Beyond the Grave. A galaxy of stars, including Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Joan Collins, thank you, Donald Sutherland, Herbert Lom, and Patrick McGee starred in the films. And Britt Eklund was in a segment in Asylum.
Oh, Britt
I
Eklund.
think she murders her husband and chops him up, but then the parts come back to life. It's one of those things.
Wow.
I forget if that's what the story was, but yeah.
I kind of feel like I've seen that one too.
Or maybe it's the fact that she had a sister that she thought was evil. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've watched Asylum. But with a central theme of medical macabre, In the Grip of Terror will draw inspiration from. Oh, this is interesting. So it's all based around the field of medicine. Because they sometimes would do themes like Asylum is all the guys going around hearing the stories of the patients in the asylum, and of course they're recounting their horror stories
Right.
to them and how they ended up in the asylum because it drove them mad. So that's the framing device for an asylum for what the stories were. In this, the central theme is medical macabre. That's interesting. In the Grip of Terror will draw inspiration from Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, Tales of the Grip of the Asylum, and will spotlight 4 tales rooted in the works of revered authors such as H.P. Lovecraft, Ambrose Bierce, and E.F. Benson. The cast will feature Lawrence R. Harvey, Human Centipede, Megan Tremebeck, Ghost Crew, Jonathan Hansler, The Devil's Machine, and Michael Daviot, Revenge of Innsmouth. Behind the Amicus revival is its new president, Laurie Brewster, known for The Unkindness of Ravens, The Devil's Machine, and Ghost Crew, and his business partner, writer, producer Sarah Daly of Scotland-based genre production and distribution company Hex Studios. They collaborated with the family of Amicus founder Sabatsky. The title in the Grip of Terror was generously shared with me by Sergei Sabatsky, derived from a list of potential titles his late father, Milton Sabatsky, had curated decades ago. So this was a potential title for one of the older Amicus films, Brewster said. It feels profoundly fitting for what we're expanding upon the imaginative groundwork set by such a visionary. What's even more fascinating is that 3 of the 4 stories we're adapting were suggested by Milton's widow and Sergei's mother, Dr. Fiona Sabatsky. Brewster will, excuse me, Brewster will serve as the overall director of In the Grip of Terror, but there is the likelihood of additional directors for 4 different story segments. The filmmaker and his team are also started a crowdfunding campaign to facilitate the initial stages of the project. The goal is far more ambitious than just one film. I need to look into this, see if there's still crowdfunding. I'll contribute. Our aim is to reestablish Amicus Productions as a beacon of independent British horror. Brewster said, we're concocting a film that captures the essence of and panache that rendered the studio iconic by emphasizing atmospheric storytelling, tangible effects, and a genuine respect for the genre. Our vision is to teleport audiences back to British horror's golden epoch. This venture transcends mere studio revival. It's a renaissance, a passion tribute to a rich legacy, and a testament to indie cinema's prowess. And we're all about indie cinema on this channel. Like
Yeah, and I
Island in the
feel like
Stars.
it's a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit of shot across the bow at Hammer. Maybe get back to basics again.
Frankly, I think it's a shot across the bow at Universal Studios and their monster movies.
Yeah, you're right there too.
Bring things back to basics, tangible effects, low, maybe not have a huge budget, but still make a quality. And horror movies usually don't have huge budgets anyway.
Honestly, that's the most successful ones. That's true. And I think something that people overlook when they just look at the dollars and cents and they say, well, they keep budgets low, so, the profits are higher. Yes, that's simple economics 101. But just from storytelling point of view, when you keep it simple and focus on the story over the special effects, you tend to have better stories. And if you know what you're doing, it can be a lot scarier. The whole, Hitchcock effect.
Exactly.
What they create in their mind is scarier than anything you just put on screen.
Exactly. And I think I'd like to see a more old school approach to horror. Maybe this might be what the doctor ordered right now. I mean, I don't know if I could say, I guess I would consider this part of the Gothic period, the old Amicus movies. There was one that wasn't an anthology movie they made, which was fascinating. It was called The Beast Must Die. And you know what the basis of it was? It was this like it was this African millionaire
Hmm.
invited a bunch of people to his house, and it's like he's like the guy that owns the estate, and it's one of them's a werewolf, and we have to guess out who the werewolf is. I guess it's like that. I guess they have a card game called Who's the Werewolf now, right? I think it
Well,
was
yeah,
based on this movie,
it's
and
been
it's a mystery movie, and you have to figure out who the werewolf is. That's
that's
and
interesting
yeah,
because
yeah.
there's been this party game for years,
It's
Secret
probably based on
Werewolf.
The Beast Must Die, or maybe the
Yeah.
movie was based on that. But it's a neat little movie. It's a good little twist on the werewolf story, treating it like a mystery, like who's the werewolf. And I am looking forward. I want to see a return of Amicus. I'd love to see Hammer return its proper form. We know the studio sort of exists now, but I don't know what they've really released. I want to see old fashioned gothic horror movies. And Amicus stories, they would always usually take place in the modern day, so they can still set this in the modern day. So
Sure.
I'm looking forward to this. I'll be honest with you. I think this might be something worth checking out, and I think we really have to look to the independent producers. Like I said, we've talked much about Island of the Stars, maybe bringing the adventure movie
Yeah.
back, and this could bring the
The horror movie.
the gothic horror movie back. And
Yeah.
um, I'm looking forward to this. So I'll go check out their page, see if there's still crowdfunding. Maybe I'll contribute something. All right, and I like the young actress they have who's done movies. She looks like a delight. So I'll see her in this too. So, but yeah,
There you go.
I guess that about wraps it up. Is that the last story?
That's the
Or
last
was there
story
some-
I got, other than talking about what's coming
happening
up
this
this
week?
week.
Did want to say
So,
goodnight to Lady Miss. Thank you for stopping by.
absolutely.
Okay.
And so in 45 minutes,
Mhm.
get over to Deleted Scenes channel for the Other Side of Midnight. Actually, I think I got that wrong. I think I didn't update this from previously because I don't think Sin is your guest tonight, is she? That was previously. So I may actually even have the wrong link there. So double check that for me. Actually, you know what
Yeah.
I can do is I can check that link myself.
Age of Boomer, the game is called Werewolf, and I used to play the game with my college friends. Yeah, so I don't know if maybe that was maybe that was inspired by the Beast Must Die movie, and they came up with the idea. 'Cause that was
Okay,
sort of
I'm sorry. I only have the title wrong. It's episode
okay.
24.
Okay.
I didn't update it, but that link is correct. My apologies.
All right, who's the guest tonight then?
Us, I guess. I got a link, so I might actually jump in there and say hi to everybody.
Or maybe he's just doing a I don't know. She was on last week. Okay.
Yeah, my apologies about that.
It's not me, is it? Okay.
Okay.
No, okay. Anyway, but check him
Oh
out.
wait, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to skip over. I'm going out of order.
What are you doing
skipped
here?
over Tuesday. I know
Tuesday. It's a big event.
Tuesday, not
The
Thursday.
premiere.
Yes.
Technically, the premiere was
Tuesday.
Friday, but on his channel, it's the premiere of at least
Yeah.
episode 1 of.
So the first episode of, or the first standalone episode of Twin Peaks, we're going to be watching that over on Deleted Scenes channel. The name of the series is Live from Sparkwood and 21st.
Yes.
We will dive into season 1, episode 1, and we will do a deep dive discussion on that.
Sounds good.
And then Thursday, which I already dropped, but I'll drop it again over on Netters Network. Thursday Things. Her guest will be Zombie Box Reviews. Great channel. Find out more about him on Thursday, and make sure you like and subscribe because you will thank me later.
That
Friday,
sounds like a nice channel. Zombie Box Reviews. Makes me wonder. I like zombies, but what's in the box? I'm sorry.
Or
It's
does
funny
the box make you into a zombie? I think
Maybe.
that might be.
It's funny. People think of the expression "What's in the box." They think of the movie Seven. I think of
Yeah.
the movie Kiss Me Deadly,
Oh,
which is where the one femme fatale in that keeps asking like, "What's in the box?" Like the box that they wanted. And I think it was some sort of uranium or nuclear stuff. And then she opens it up at the end, and then bad things happen. Anyway,
Right. Exactly.
let's go to Friday. What's on
Okay,
Friday?
so first thing, so there's a couple things happening on Friday. So there is going to be a watch party earlier in the evening at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Big Al presents Films with Friends, as he says, the Vivitch from 2015.
Yes.
Which
it's a good old Puritan ghost story.
And do you know who's guesting with him on
Deleted
Friday?
Scenes and soundtracks of Birdman. Birdman will be there
There
too.
we go. There we go. which is a great lead into my topic on Friday Night Last Call. Lesbian vampires, trope or archetype. And I will have a special drink, and I will be singing a song, and the song ties very well. It actually links very well from the witch to the lesbian vampire.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds like a plan. I think I know that song. It's funny.
Better than I do.
Don't call us queer folks, Tim. We're all in support of the lesbian vampire. All right.
Yeah. We'll talk. Like I said, I've been saying I think we'll start out talking about the archetype of the lesbian vampire, and as I get more drinks into me,
I got movies
to
talk about. I think you and I both have movies we
Yep.
neither of us may have seen, because I have some. There were a few of them. This was a thing. Like I said, if it's always
yeah,
bad
I've got some key ones to hit, but I definitely want you to help me, illustrate that this is a big trope. It's a very common trope, and there's a reason for it.
In the vampire,
besides the obvious.
In the vampire story, I'm going to say, when you're either going to have the male vampire trying to seduce your bride to be, or the female vampire is going to seduce the bride to be. You're not.
Exactly.
She's not going to seduce you. She's not going to try to seduce you.
Well, she might.
I don't know. Hey, like I said, I'd be a dead man in a lot of these vampire movies.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, all right, and that leads us to Saturday.
That brings us to Saturday on Netters Network. This time for real. This Saturday on Netters Network, Corpse Bride from 2005.
Oh yeah, okay.
Starring the voice talents of Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter
and Christopher Lee.
Yep, because Tim Burton doesn't know any other actors.
Yeah, but I saw Corpse Bride in the theater. I remember that. Yeah, but yeah.
Maybe we'll touch briefly on the folklore that it comes from.
It's based on an actually, oddly enough, it's based on a Jewish story, though. Not
it absolutely is.
Which I thought was interesting. Yeah.
Yep. I'll mention that on Saturday.
All right.
And that's everything, guys.
Wait, Sunday, what's the Latest Scenes pre-show going to be? We don't know yet.
We don't know. Yeah.
Just check out his channel, and the link to his pre-show is always in my description if you check out my stream. All right. Okay.
All righty.
Y'all have a good week, and hopefully we'll do something spooky for good old days next week, since we're close to Halloween. I'll think of a subject matter.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Y'all have a good week. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.